"Mr. Jiang, here are the 20 male models you ordered." Jiang Chaoyang spat a mouthful of wine onto the floor manager's face. "What's going on?" The floor manager's face stiffened. Wiping his face, he forced a smile. "They're all omegas, Mr. Jiang, don't worry." Jiang Chaoyang held his wine glass, unsure what to do next. He sat on the sofa, facing rows of men standing like they were in military training. The floor manager bent over and fawned beside him, completely unaware of anything unusual. Instead, thinking Mr. Jiang was displeased, he sternly shouted at the 20 models, "Call out faster. How am I supposed to train you?" "Good evening, Mr. Jiang." Jiang Chaoyang immediately buried his head in the trash can. The models fell silent as he started to vomit. Actually, Jiang Chaoyang had just drunk too much. Pulling his face from the trash can, he said to the floor manager, "Bro, I didn't order any male models. You must have made a mistake." The floor manager rasped as he checked the order sheet. "You did. It even has your signature." He pointed to the lower right corner, where the signature was clear and neat. Jiang Chaoyang's eyes widened, doubting if he had forgotten. But that signature was definitely not his. The wine he had just drunk felt like an antimatter latte handed to him by an alien. One sip, and suddenly he understood the secrets of the universe. He even calculated every digit of pi. He realized his world was fake. This world was a trash novel with no morals or values. There was no ABO setting at all. His temples throbbed incessantly. No time to dwell on that, he had to deal with what was in front of him. Ignoring the models posing and preening, Jiang Chaoyang said to the floor manager, "Give each of them paper and pens." The floor manager was confused but obediently complied. The models held paper and pens like students caught standing out of line. Jiang Chaoyang set down his wine glass gently. "Each of you write the core socialist values 10 times. The models were stunned. He continued, "Hand your papers to the floor manager when you're done. Once he checks them, you're free to go." The floor manager panicked, thinking Mr. Jiang was about to leave, and hurriedly said, "Mr. Jiang, maybe. Charge it to my account." Jiang Chaoyang guessed his thoughts, stood up, and headed for the door. "I'm going to the restroom. I'll be back soon." The floor manager sighed in relief and was about to send someone along when Jiang Chaoyang was already gone down the hallway. Jiang Chaoyang hurried into the restroom, slammed the door, and stared at his reflection. The man in the mirror had black hair and a sharp, handsome face, someone everyone liked, regardless of age or gender. Good. Nothing unusual. He breathed a sigh of relief. He forgot the novel's title but knew the author was named Zhu Qingshui. In this world, besides male and female, there was an ABO classification. Alpha pheromones came in 5 types: dominant, aggressive, soothing, inducing, and controlling. Dominant pheromones were extremely forceful, stripping away will and enforcing submission. Aggressive pheromones carried hostility and oppression, causing fear, disgust, even suffocation, and pain. Soothing pheromones alleviated omega pheromone disorders and mental trauma and also helped alphas. Inducing pheromones had strong aphrodisiac effects, directly stimulating the body and weakening reason, creating irresistible desire. Controlling pheromones influenced the mind and will, allowing short-term control over body movements, forcing obedience. Jiang Chaoyang was an ordinary alpha with only one pheromone type. A rare few alphas had both primary and secondary pheromones. Their secondary type was unique and extraordinary, called S-level alphas. S-level alphas were extremely rare, fewer than omegas. If you were rich, powerful, and S-level, you were top tier. Omegas and betas could be picked at will, but not alphas. Because alphas were second only to S-level alphas and could even mutate into S-level later. As Jiang Chaoyang rinsed his mouth, the restroom door opened. He instinctively glanced at the mirror. The man he saw was stunning, outshining internet celebrities by a mile. This guy obviously wasn't a celeb. Jiang Chaoyang guessed he had background and status. He looked away, turned off the faucet, and moved toward the door. Just as he twisted the handle to open it, a long, strong hand suddenly pressed the door shut. Jiang Chaoyang jumped. "You?" The hand was pale, with blue veins clearly visible. He turned to look at the man behind him, taller by half a head, broad shoulders, narrow waist, a physique too perfect to be real. The man held a phone in one hand, making a call, while his other hand propped against the doorframe. The phone's light illuminated his side profile, handsome with a fierce edge, breathtaking. Jiang Chaoyang was about to speak, but the man was mid-call, words stuck in his throat. Knock knock. Someone knocked outside the door. Jiang Chaoyang guessed someone needed the restroom, signaling the man to release the door. The man's eyes were a pale gold with a reflective gleam. Calmly, he looked at Jiang Chaoyang and said, "I suggest you don't open the door." Jiang Chaoyang was puzzled. The man withdrew his hand, but Jiang grabbed the door handle again. As he pulled the sliding door open, regret hit him immediately. Standing outside was a youth with flamboyant makeup, dressed in tattered clothes, his figure exposed, and his skin unnervingly pale. The youth twisted his waist arrogantly, flaunting his body as he prepared to come inside. Jiang Chaoyang slammed the door shut, keeping him out. Leaning against the door, still shaken, he thought to himself, "Damn, impressive. Hope this doesn't give me a sty." Jiang Chaoyang asked the man, "Is he looking for you?" The man nodded faintly, ended the call, and didn't look his way. Jiang Chaoyang's eyes softened with sympathy. Harassment wasn't a trivial matter, and that guy outside was definitely a catch. He hesitated before asking, "Want me to call someone to get him to leave?" As soon as the words came out, their eyes met. Thinking the man didn't understand, Jiang explained, "I'm about to head out anyway, so I could ask someone on the way." The man watched Jiang's action of holding the door, paused, then smiled slightly. "No need, thank you." Before the words even finished, a scolding voice came from outside. "Do you want to die? Do you even know who Mr. Ian is? How dare you get close to him?" The bald man shouted angrily. The youth didn't understand, eyes reddening. "Everyone's playing here, why can't I?" "You don't get it. An S-class alpha isn't someone your pathetic skills can chase. Omegas around them are a dime a dozen, they're already sick of your type." The youth's expression changed. The bald man flung his jacket at him hard, still remembering the panic when he got Mr. Yin's call, almost had a heart attack. He vented all his anger onto the youth. "You know Mr. Yin's pheromones are dominant type, right? Mess with him, and you'll be tortured to death." The naive youth was terrified, trembling as he put on his clothes. "Impossible, I'm an Omega with legal protection." "That means nothing to Mr. Ian. His status lets him ignore that," the bald man sneered. "Omegas who messed with him before ended up badly, even toyed with by others." Sensing what the youth was thinking, he said coldly, "Don't think all S-class alphas are good guys. They're all twisted maniacs." The youth panicked and grabbed the bald man, hurrying away. The voices outside faded. Jiang Chaoyang felt a chill run down his spine. He wished he hadn't overheard any of that. Seeing the man approach, he stepped aside to let him pass. The man opened the door and left. Jiang Chaoyang watched his retreating figure, thinking people really shouldn't be judged by appearances. After stepping outside, the man had vanished. Jiang stood in the hallway, recalling what he'd read in the book. His own role was minor, not even a supporting character, just an ordinary alpha. Nothing to worry about, he just had gained self-awareness. Feeling lighter, he strolled to the private room's door and pushed it open. Cold air hit him, and in the dim light, the luxury was clear. A dozen or so men were there, all different postures, sitting or standing. Each one was strikingly handsome, like masterpieces carved by a divine sculptor. The moment the door opened, every gaze snapped to him. Silent. No chatter, no music, not even the clinking of glasses, only the soft hum of the air conditioner. Jiang Chaoyang flushed with embarrassment. He turned around and headed for another room. "Sorry, wrong room," he said, closing the door and stepping back. A man leaned lazily against the sofa, eyes withdrawing. His pale gold eyes drooped slightly. That gaze was intense, making Jiang feel like an auction item under scrutiny. Returning to the original room, thinking it was empty, he found another man standing inside. Jiang stared at the man's face. He withdrew his previous assumptions, not all these male models were androgynous. This one wore a simple sweatshirt, stood tall and upright, with striking features and an aloof, almost untouchable aura. What caught Jiang's attention most were the glazed blue eyes. Just as Jiang was about to say, "You can leave now," he noticed a flying object drifting behind the man. His eyes widened. What was that? It looked like a tiny slime creature floating there, with eyes and a mouth. Jiang wondered if he was seeing things. A few seconds later, he was sure, "Is that thing flying beside you?" The man raised his eyes. "You see it?" Jiang looked puzzled. "Really?" The slime suddenly spoke, flying in front of Jiang. "You can see me? That's impossible. I can see you." Jiang took a step back. He was already used to living inside a novel, so seeing ancient beings didn't surprise him anymore. "Are you also someone who's crossed into this book?" the slime asked. Jiang nodded, then shook his head, gathering his thoughts. "I think I've always lived here, but I just realized this world is actually a novel." The slime sounded amazed, impressive. Novel characters gaining self-awareness. Self-awareness? Jiang thought. That sounded pretty fancy. He stared at the translucent blue slime floating before him and heard it say, "Hello, I'm the 1v1 system. That guy over there is my host, called Inzu." Jiang's eyes widened slightly. "No way, that's awesome. You have a system too? This isn't some cheat tool, is it?" Jiang Chaoyang said admiringly. Yeah, the system said proudly. Don't let my slime appearance fool you, I have 3 forms, a teenager and an adult. Teenager? You have a gender? Yes, I'm male. If the system had a nose, it would definitely be turned up. My human form is handsome, too. Jiang Chaoyang stroked his chin and poked the system. No way. Transform into a human and show me. The system's voice immediately dropped. Not enough energy, can't transform for now. It flew over to Inzu's side. We came through today, but he refuses to complete the mission. I'm still trying to persuade him. After hearing this, Jiang Chaoyang understood that Inzu had a terminal illness in the real world and was bound to the system inside the book. Completing the mission meant he could be resurrected. The most shocking part? This book was an NP, non-monogamous, story. But Tomato, the platform, didn't allow NP stories, they suppressed the author and forced a rewrite. So the 1v1 system was introduced. Inzu had become the popular lead, the everyone loves guy. His task was to break that charm, give up on everyone else, and choose one person to love. Jiang Chaoyang pulled out his phone, his mind full of complaints. He grabbed the system and stretched it like a stress ball. So you're saying he was forced into this? You didn't get his consent before making him do all this? That's awful. Ouch, 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 the system wailed. Inzu stood silently nearby, his gaze cold. He doesn't want to do it, meaning he probably doesn't want to live. You won't even give him a choice? Inzu's eyelashes twitched as he looked at Jiang Chaoyang. Jiang Chaoyang met his gaze. Inzu looked young, around 20 or so. Do you know about ABO genders? The system wriggled free and said, feeling wronged, I told him he's an S-rank alpha. A crack appeared on Jiang Chaoyang's face. Still S-rank? He was supposed to be an Omega, but this world automatically matches genders, so he got assigned as an S-rank alpha, the system explained. Jiang Chaoyang pulled Inzu over and sat on the couch. What kind of pheromone do you have? Control type, Inzu answered. Jiang Chaoyang's eyes lit up. Nice, that's way stronger than the appeasement type. The appeasement type was the least dangerous of the 5 but also the rarest. He thought for a moment and asked, S-rank alphas have secondary pheromone types too, right? What's yours? Addictive type. Jiang Chaoyang hadn't heard of that one. What does it do? The system cut in, long-term exposure to his addictive pheromone causes intense dependence and craving. Without it, withdrawal is painful. Jiang Chaoyang was amazed. That's insane. Primary control type plus secondary addictive type, this combo was seriously twisted. First, he controls your body, then he forces you to crave his secondary pheromones. You don't even have to release it yourself, you end up begging him for it. It's a killer combo. Definitely S-rank. Jiang Chaoyang clicked his tongue in admiration. Inzu showed no reaction, his aura cold and detached, as if shutting everything out. Jiang Chaoyang felt Inzu was quiet and icy, probably introverted or just didn't like socializing. He asked the system, what happens if the mission isn't completed? Can he quit? No. He'll be stuck in this world forever, but the story will move forward automatically. In other words, if Inzu didn't do the 1v1 mission, the story would follow the original NP route. That would be even worse for Inzu. 1v1 was definitely better than NP, right? Besides, could NP even pass censorship? The author got banned for so many books and still didn't behave. Jiang Chaoyang looked at Inzu, feeling increasingly affectionate, maybe because they both knew this was a fictional world. Do you have a place to stay? Jiang Chaoyang asked. Inzu nodded. Jiang Chaoyang checked his phone. It was already past midnight. I'll drive you home. Don't worry about the mission for now. Get some rest. No need. Don't be polite. Let's go. Jiang Chaoyang put his arm around Inzu's shoulder and led him out of the private room. The system followed closely behind, its round eyes fixed on Jiang Chaoyang's back. May I ask your name? Jiang Chaoyang turned slightly. The light cast shadows on his sharp profile. He smiled and said, Jiang Chaoyang. The system was momentarily stunned by his gentle smile. At that moment, someone staggered out nearby, eyes glazed. They saw the two. The drunk's gaze locked on Inzu, eyes clearing. Hey, not bad looking. Inzu showed no disgust. The drunk blocked their way, leering at Inzu. You're an Omega, right? He reached out, reeking of oily alcohol, to touch Inzu. Crack. Before contact, a loud crack echoed through the hallway. The drunk screamed. Let go. The drunk sobered up halfway, his face twisted in pain, struggling. But Jiang Chaoyang's grip was like iron, unmoving. Don't want your hand? Jiang Chaoyang sneered, twisting his wrist with precise control. The drunk fell face down, his arm twisted behind him, howling in agony. Jiang Chaoyang released his grip and kicked the drunkard hard on the back. He turned to Inzu and said, "It's fine, I'll handle this trash. Don't bother." Before he could finish, a cold, oppressive pheromone burst from Inzu, a chill shooting straight down Jiang Chaoyang's spine. The drunkard stiffened as if shocked by electricity, a strangled groan caught in his throat. That controlling pheromone instantly eroded his willpower. The drunkard's eyes went blank and vacant, gasping for breath. Inzu stood there cold and indifferent. Then, something happened that shocked both Jiang Chaoyang and the system. The drunkard, as if pulled by invisible ropes, knelt on the cold tile floor. But it wasn't over. He seemed to lose control, repeatedly smashing his forehead heavily against the ground. Thud! 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 The dull pounding echoed harshly down the corridor, each strike forceful enough to quickly redden and bruise his forehead, blood streaks starting to appear. Inzu looked down from above, staring coldly and mercilessly at the drunken man's frantic kowtowing. Jiang Chaoyang instinctively rubbed his slightly chilled arm. He noticed a faint blue pheromone radiating from the drunkard. This completely overturned his impression of Inzu. He had originally felt pity for Inzu, even wanted to protect him, but Inzu's actions proved Inzu didn't need anyone's protection, even as an outsider. And he understood how to manipulate pheromones the moment he arrived. It's difficult enough for an alpha to control pheromones, let alone this kind of dominating control. Inzu seemed bored, withdrew the pheromone, and the oppressive atmosphere in the corridor instantly dissipated. The drunkard went limp on the floor like his bones had been drained. Without looking back at him, Inzu calmly turned to Jiang Chaoyang. "Shall we go?" That terrifying alpha who had forced someone to kneel and kowtow moments ago seemed like a completely different person. Jiang Chaoyang nodded and even gave a thumbs up. "Well done." Inzu paused briefly but quickly regained his composure. The system breathed a sigh of relief. Luckily, the pheromone was withdrawn quickly. If they had noticed, it would have been trouble. "Who are they?" Jiang Chaoyang asked. The system flew ahead to the second private room and said, "This place is full of potential mates, all S-rank alphas." Jiang Chaoyang was stunned. A whole room full of S-ranks? His eyes widened as he realized he had mistakenly entered this room before. He recalled there were more than 15 people inside. He couldn't help but feel sympathy for Inzu. It was truly miserable. Suddenly, he noticed something strange and asked in surprise, "Wait, isn't Inzu an Omega? How can two S-rank alphas be together?" The system replied, "That's not hard. Love can overcome all obstacles." Jiang Chaoyang was speechless. The system continued, "Do you know Wangji? He's a dominant S-rank." Jiang Chaoyang recalled overhearing a conversation before. Wangji's pheromone is dominant, probably the same person as Mr. Yin. Controlling pheromones influence willpower like an inducer. Dominant pheromones strip willpower and can force submission. The system said, Wangji's secondary pheromone is a marking type. What? Jiang Chaoyang was baffled. Alphas can only mark omegas, but Wangji's secondary pheromone can mark betas and even alphas. Jiang Chaoyang was stunned. Alphas and betas don't have glands, where do they mark? It doesn't have to be glands, it can be injected into the bloodstream to mark. This opened Jiang Chaoyang's eyes wide. Secondary pheromones are that unusual? Yes. Besides addictive and marking types, there are illusion, barrier, camouflage, hypnosis, anesthesia types. Too many to remember. Jiang Chaoyang wiped sweat from his brow. Who could possibly remember all that? This setup is perfect for polyamory. No wonder they had to change it to 1v1. Early the next morning, Jiang Chaoyang received an invitation from a friend to play billiards. After breakfast, he headed out. He had two good buddies, both ordinary alphas he met a few years ago at a trade fair. They had great personalities, got along well, and naturally formed a close bond. The crisp sound of billiard balls clacking echoed through the private room. A red ball was precisely nudged by the cue ball, sliding straight along the felt surface before dropping cleanly into a pocket. A man leaned over the table, then slowly straightened up. Morning sunlight poured through the large window, outlining him with a warm golden glow. His features were handsome, lips slightly pressed, expression calm and focused. The hand holding the cue was slender and well-defined in the sunlight. "You guys really know how to get me out of bed early for billiards." Yenyu looked up and saw Jiang Chaoyang leaning casually against the doorframe. "Not allowed?" Yenyu's lips curled slightly, his tone casual and familiar. He bent down again to adjust his angle, aiming for another ball. Jiang Chaoyang approached and handed him a glass of clear amber liquor. "This is a new brandy, give it a try." "Not bad, right?" Jiang Chaoyang paused mid-step, turning his head toward another face that was exactly like Yenyu's. Same height, same features, equally handsome. But the aura was completely different. Yen Yu was cold and composed, whereas the man before him radiated sunshine, a faint smile tugging at his lips. This was Yen Yu's twin brother, Yen Ji. Their personalities were total opposites. Jiang Chaoyang took the glass, smiling. Having me drink this first thing in the morning, is that your way of waking me up? Something like that, Yen Ji replied. Jiang glanced at the focused Yen Yu, then at Yen Ji, sighing. You two standing side by side are like a mirror, but the temperature difference inside and out is pretty big. He meant Yen Yu's calmness versus Yen Ji's warmth. Yen Ji laughed. Enough talk. Let's play ball. With steady force, Yen Yu struck the cue ball precisely, hitting the black ball that sank into the pocket. He straightened and looked at Jiang Chaoyang. Your turn. All right then. Jiang Chaoyang shrugged off his jacket, picked up the cue stick, and scanned the layout of balls on the table, locking onto a tricky red ball in the corner. He moved to one side of the table, adjusted his stance, and then did something that stunned both men. Leaning forward, he planted his left foot firmly on the carpet, bent his right knee resting on the dark green velvet table. His torso arched into a perfect bow shape, with a hint of wildness. His shirt stretched tight with the motion, outlining a strong waist. His pants tightened, revealing solid hips and thighs. Jiang Chaoyang's jaw tensed slightly as he focused intently on the line between the target ball and the cue ball, sunlight flickering over his black hair. A subtle ripple passed through Yen Yu's eyes as his fingers lightly touched the cue. Yen Ji leaned against the bar, glass poised at his lips, his smile deepening. One watched coolly, the other admired openly. Crack! The crisp sound of the cue striking the ball broke the silence. The red ball dropped into the pocket. Jiang Chaoyang hadn't yet pulled his leg off the table's edge when he heard Yen Ji speak from behind. Let me tell you something. What? Jiang Chaoyang stayed bent over, glancing sideways at both of them. Yen Yu said, we become S-level alphas. What? Jiang Chaoyang's expression turned comical, his mouth twitching in disbelief. What's going on? How did you guys become S-level? And he was still just a regular alpha? Taking the test report, Jiang Chaoyang's eyes locked onto the glaring S-level pheromone rating, and he felt the ground shift beneath him. We all agreed we were just alphas, so how did you guys level up? Seeing his forlorn look, Yen Ji couldn't help but laugh. Just think of us as insanely lucky. Who wouldn't want that kind of luck? Becoming an S-level alpha naturally is extremely rare, rarer than finding two identical grains of sand in the Sahara Desert. Yen Yu noticed and asked, what's wrong? Not happy? Jiang Chaoyang shook his head. I'm genuinely happy for you guys, but I'm also jealous and envious. The Yen family had a prestigious lineage, noble ancestors and a modern wealthy dynasty, and with S-level pheromones on top, their lives were basically unstoppable. Jiang Chaoyang stared at the secondary pheromone type on the report, frowning. Barrier type? The note explained, barrier-type pheromones can weaken, neutralize, or even reflect other pheromone effects, rendering the user immune. Yen Yu and Yen Ji's primary type was offensive, extremely potent, causing both physical and psychological intimidation, and now they had the barrier-type secondary, which made them immune to harm. Full offense and defense, wasn't that basically invincible? After a moment's thought, Jiang Chaoyang asked, can the secondary type be used to protect an Omega? To protect you, they answered in unison. Jiang Chaoyang froze. I'm an alpha, I don't need your protection. Yen Yu snatched the report. Maybe you'll need it someday. Your pheromones are in high demand, don't expose yourself carelessly. Jiang nodded. Calming pheromones were the only positive, stable, and non-aggressive type among the 5 main categories, extremely rare. Simply put, calming pheromones act as a living tranquilizer. Whether you're an alpha in a sensitive phase, an omega in heat, or someone affected by others' pheromones and feeling unstable, no injections or pills needed, just a calming alpha can help steady you. But calming pheromones were a double-edged sword. Long-term exposure leads to dependency and withdrawal difficulties, causing panic and loss when absent. Yen Ji took a sip of his drink, licking his lips. Don't use it lightly, it can hurt you badly. Jiang Chaoyang chuckled. I know. You've warned me plenty of times. I haven't abused it. Releasing calming pheromones came at a great cost. Though called calming, the effect was actually absorbing all the other's pain and negative emotions, with the user bearing and processing them. It was like a living purifier. This game's over, then I'm out, Jiang Chaoyang said. You got something to do? Yen Yu asked. He nodded. Got a tutoring gig today. Jiang Chaoyang loved nurturing the flowers of the motherland. He'd wanted to be a teacher, but with the family business to inherit, he had to juggle both. His parents were vacationing abroad, leaving the business in his hands. In his free time, he took on a few tutoring jobs, sometimes stepping in as a substitute teacher. Jiang Chaoyang dropped a hint that student's pretty wealthy, And his background isn't simple. Who? Yen Ji squinted. Han Shuqian? Sounds Korean. Han Shuqian? Yen Yu frowned. Jiang Chaoyang looked up, noticing their odd expressions. You guys know him? Don't go. He's an offensive type S-class like us, and has a terrible temper, Yen Ji said seriously, no trace of a smile left. Jiang Chaoyang reassured them, if they want me as a tutor, they won't disrespect me. Besides, no student can beat me now. But his temper's really bad. You won't handle it, Yen Yu warned. No worries, I'll give it a try. Jiang Chaoyang cut the topic, resting his knee on the pool table, lowering his head to aim at the cue ball. Yen Ji watched him, fingers tightening around the cup. Don't use that posture when you play pool. Why? Risk of lumbar strain. My back's strong. No problem. Yen Yu and Yen Ji exchanged a look. Jiang Chaoyang arrived at the Han residence with his backpack. Just inside the door, a woman in a tailcoat approached. Hello, I'm the housekeeper here. Jiang Chaoyang was surprised it was a female housekeeper. She was in her 30s, with short hair, dressed neatly in a dark tailcoat. My name's Run. Welcome, Mr. Jiang. Please follow me. He nodded. In wealthy families, male housekeepers were the norm, young, capable female housekeepers were rare. Jiang Chaoyang admired that. Ren glanced at him, her eyes lingering on the red backpack on his shoulder, pausing slightly. She said kindly, Mr. Jiang, please wait a moment. She walked to a storage cabinet, took out a brand new briefcase, and handed it to Jiang Chaoyang with both hands. This is a gift for you, to carry your teaching materials more conveniently. Please accept it. Jiang Chaoyang glanced at it, knowing it wasn't cheap. No, thanks. Ren smiled wryly. It's from young Master Han. He hopes you'll use it. He couldn't refuse. Ran helped put his materials inside. He found it strange Han Shuqian was known for a bad temper, yet he sent a gift? Ren carried the briefcase and led him upstairs to a large door, handing him the case. Young Master Han is inside. Thank you for your efforts. Jiang Chaoyang watched her leave, then looked down at the doorknob and reached out to open the door. Click. A strong, aggressive pheromone hit him, radiating pressure and intimidation. But Jiang Chaoyang remained calm and composed as he stepped into the room. He offered a warm smile. Hello, I'm Jiang Chaoyang, your new tutor. Inside, however, he sneered mentally before entering. He had already released a calming pheromone to boost his resistance, able to fend off negative states. Outside the window was a delicate garden. A tall figure stood by the window, face sharp, blue eyes piercing. So you're an S-class too? Han Shuqian raised an eyebrow. A faint smile showed a single fong. He clearly hadn't expected his pheromone to have no effect on this tutor. Doesn't matter, Jiang Chaoyang said with a smile. Han, let's start by reviewing your exam mistakes. Sound good? Then he turned and shut the door behind him. Han Shuqian looked down on him, searching for signs of strain, found none, and moved his gaze away. I've seen you before. What? Weren't you the one who walked into the wrong private room yesterday? Jiang Chaoyang remembered, coughed a few times. Let's get started with the lesson. I don't need a tutor, Han Shuqian said impatiently. Jiang Chaoyang was stunned. Damn, if he really didn't need a tutor, why hire one? He sat down and said, Han, if you're not into studying, we can start from the basics. Han Shuqian was still in college but failing every subject. His grades were beyond rescue, even high participation points wouldn't save him. That only made Jiang Chaoyang more determined to help. Han Shuqian didn't respond. He sat opposite him, staring with suspicion. Jiang Chaoyang felt the gaze burn like fire. Suppressing a twitch at the corner of his mouth, he put the study materials in front of him. Do I have something on my face? Mr. Jiang, can you look me in the eye? Jiang Chaoyang looked up, locking eyes with those icy blue orbs. The blue seemed alive, the pupils swirling, the iris rim glowing with a faint blue light. The scene suddenly shifted. The cold, hard floor pressed through his clothes. Jiang Chaoyang shivered, he found himself pinned to the ground. A large hand clamped tightly around the back of his neck, sending a dull ache through him. Han Shuqian's towering figure loomed over Jiang Chaoyang like a cage. Han Shuqian's breath grew heavy, mixed with a strange psychic field that pinned Jiang Chaoyang down, unable to move even a finger. Han Shuqian looked down at him, his blue eyes filled only with a desire for control, like a predator eyeing its prey. His vision blurred. The discomfort vanished. Jiang Chaoyang's body stiffened. He was still sitting at his desk, with exercise books and materials in front of him. What the hell was that just now? Han Shuqian propped his chin on one hand, elbow resting on the desk. Sunlight caught the tips of his light hair, and a sharp tiger's tooth peeked out as he smirked. Teacher Jiang? His eyes were full of innocent confusion, voice concerned. You suddenly look unwell. Are you feeling sick? Want to take a break? Jiang Chaoyang stared at those now normal blue eyes. He was sure Han Shuqian had released a secondary pheromone, an illusion type. The feelings of surrender and being pinned down were mental hallucinations. Illusions like this couldn't control actions, only distort perception. This kid was playing him. Jiang Chaoyang took a deep breath and forced a smile. Han, don't pull tricks like that on your teacher. You might get what's coming to you. Han Shuqian sneered, a dark glint flashing in his eyes. He leaned in slightly, dragging out his words playfully. Teacher Jiang, what did you just say? I don't understand. How can you curse me? Really knows how to bite back. Jiang Chaoyang clenched his teeth until they ached. Damn him. Han Shuqian was seriously the biggest headache in his tutoring career. He rubbed his hair, stood up, and said, I'm going to get some water. You keep working on the problems, ask if you don't understand. Okay. Damn him, just asking for a beating. Jiang Chaoyang went downstairs, thinking about how to deal with this brat. Suddenly, sounds of a chicken crowing and frantic flapping came from the kitchen. He turned and walked over. Aunt Rome was flustered, holding down a hen whose neck had been cut, bright red blood splattering. What's going on? Aunt Lin rushed over, pale as she saw the blood. She hurriedly placed the chicken in the sink. Quick, wipe up the blood. Aunt Rome froze. Ha! The chicken's not dead yet. Wipe the blood. Now! Aunt Lin urged loudly, quickly handing a cloth to Aunt Rome and starting to wipe the blood herself. She wiped the blood on the wall anxiously, her movements frantic. Hurry up! We can't let young Master Han see this, not a single drop can be left. Aunt Rome was frightened by Aunt Lin's tension. She was new and flustered, wiping blood while asking, does young Master Han have some kind of cleanliness obsession? Why is he so afraid of blood? Aunt Lin suddenly stopped, glanced outside the kitchen to make sure no one was around. It's not cleanliness. It's a trauma. She lowered her voice. Years ago, Mr. Han had an affair. Aunt Rome's eyes went wide. At that time, Mrs. Han found out and wanted a divorce. But Mr. Han refused, even using aggressive pheromones to harm her. We tried to help, but the pheromones suppressed us, we couldn't move. How can an Omega fight an S-class Alpha? She nearly suffocated. Mrs. Han grabbed a knife and fought back desperately. Aunt Lin's voice choked up. The knife was taken from her and stabbed directly into her chest. Wiping away blood, she spoke with deep sorrow. Young Master Han was just 12 then, coming home from school with his backpack and a perfect test paper, happy as could be. But he saw his father covered in blood and his mother collapsed on the ground, blood everywhere. Since then, young Master Han changed. He used to be so well behaved and top of his class, all the servants liked him. Aunt Rome's face drained of color. Aunt Lin said, the blood left a shadow on him. It's never healed, and now he especially hates the color red. Jiang Chaoyang leaned against a cold wall in the shadows. He wasn't holding water, he understood why Steward Run had changed the bag. He rubbed his forehead, composed himself, and headed back upstairs to the study. Han Shuqian was flipping through a book. Hearing the door, he glanced at Jiang Chaoyang and smiled. Took you long enough? I thought you ran off. No, just went to the bathroom. Jiang Chaoyang sat down, noticing the test paper covered with answers. He picked up the paper, puzzled. Did you do all this? Yeah. Han Shuqian twirled his pen. Jiang Chaoyang said nothing more. Han Shuqian saw his expression, sneered coldly, tossed the pen down, and stood. Teacher Jiang, I don't need a tutor. He circled the desk, leaned over Jiang Chaoyang with a venomous, contemptuous tone. So don't come anymore, got it? Then he strode away. Jiang Chaoyang looked at the paper, the math answers were flawless. He glanced toward the open door. Wait, had the blood in the kitchen been cleaned? He dropped the paper and rushed out of the study, nearly tripping as he hurried downstairs toward the kitchen. Han Shuqian stood there, his silhouette clear. This is segment 8 of 28. Please process the following content according to your logic. Keep the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. Return only the processed result. The bloodstains in the kitchen had been wiped clean, but Aunt Rome's clothes were still stained with blood. Before she could change, Han Shuqian arrived. Jiang Chaoyang noticed his hands hanging down, fingers clenched tightly into fists, knuckles white, trembling slightly. He hurried forward, and the moment he saw Han Shuqian's face, it grew heavy with concern. Pale complexion, lips pressed tightly together, blue eyes flickering unsteadily. Jiang Chaoyang reached out, cupping his cold face, forcing him to meet his gaze. At the same time, a warm pheromone quietly spread, slowly enveloping Han Shuqian. It's all right now, it's all right. Jiang Chaoyang's voice was gentle, his fingers softly brushing Han Shuqian's tense cheeks. Don't be afraid. You won't be hurt. Time seemed to slow down. Aunt Lin and Aunt Rong hurried away to clean up the blood. Han Shuqian's clenched fists slowly relaxed, his eyelashes fluttered slightly. Jiang Chaoyang exhaled in relief. Han Shuqian looked down at Jiang Chaoyang, not pulling back his hands. You're a soothing type alpha? Jiang Chaoyang nodded. Yes. The simple answer clicked like a switch. A soothing type alpha, ha? Han Shuqian murmured. Before Jiang Chaoyang could react, Han Shuqian suddenly grabbed him, pulling him forcefully into an embrace. Caught off guard, Jiang Chaoyang bumped against a solid chest, Han Shuqian's chin pressed against his neck. Give me more. Not a request, but a demand. Strong alpha dominance mixed with the dependence born from past vulnerability. Without hesitation, Jiang Chaoyang released his pheromones again. He raised his hand, hesitated briefly, then lightly patted Han Shuqian's back, awkwardly trying to comfort him. Don't pat my back like you're soothing a child, Han Shuqian raised an eyebrow. Jiang Chaoyang was speechless. He thought to himself, how can someone like this even exist? If he didn't feel sorry for him, he would have shoved him away long ago. Suppressing the curse, he said flatly, don't get greedy. Han Shuqian closed his eyes then opened them again. Take back the pheromones. Jiang Chaoyang froze. Are you sure you're okay now? Han Shuqian let go of him, stepping back with a hint of disdain. I don't want to depend on you. Jiang Chaoyang's mouth twitched, his fists itching. Come on, this little dose won't make you dependent. As long as you don't absorb it long term, there won't be withdrawal. Han Shuqian's expression was indifferent, which made Jiang Chaoyang rub his hair in frustration. If I didn't feel sorry for you, I wouldn't bother releasing pheromones so casually. Sorry? Han Shuqian seemed to hear a new word. He grabbed Jiang Chaoyang's wrist, expression blank, then leaned in slightly. Suddenly, a smile curled at the corner of his mouth. The day I became an adult, I personally killed my father. His voice was low and tinged with a smile, but it sent chills down Jiang Chaoyang's spine. Do you know how I killed him? Han Shuqian's eyes surged with emotion. I used illusion-type pheromones to trap him in a hallucination, making him feel the pain of being stabbed repeatedly in the chest by my mother. I tortured him for a week, then finally killed him with attack-type pheromones. He released Jiang Chaoyang's wrist, sneering. Do you still think I'm pitiable? Before Jiang Chaoyang could respond, a hand covered his face. Han Shuqian slightly opened his eyes and heard the voice. Well done, but you didn't let him bleed to death. Don't you think that's not painful enough? Because you haven't overcome your shadows, and you still want my pity? Han Shuqian frowned. That's not what I meant, Jiang Chaoyang said helplessly, I just think that bastard got off too easy. Looks like you know my story? Jiang Chaoyang cleared his throat, rubbed his neck. Actually, I overheard by accident, I didn't mean to dig. Han Shuqian expressionless, Jiang Chaoyang. What's up? I said, take back the pheromones. Caught, Jiang Chaoyang awkwardly withdrew the pheromones. In fact, when Han Shuqian spoke, Jiang Chaoyang had only released a small amount, thinking Han Shuqian needed it. Teacher Jiang, have you released pheromones to anyone else? Han Shuqian asked. No, why? I suggest you don't release them to S-rank alphas. It's fine with regular alphas and omegas, but never S-rank. Jiang Chaoyang frowned. Why not? Because S-rank alphas are all messed up. Jiang Chaoyang didn't believe it. No way, my friend seems pretty normal. Han Shuqian smiled slightly. They're all similar. Some hide it well, others don't. None are normal. Morality doesn't exist for them. After thinking, Jiang Chaoyang asked, did something happen to make them like this? Han Shuqian paused, stared at him, then after a few seconds said, Teacher Jiang, you're very strange. Strange how? Most people either don't believe it or pretend not to hear. You actually want to know why. This is excerpt 9 of 28. Please follow your own logic to process the following content. Keep the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout intact, and only return the processed result. Jiang Chaoyang's eyes widened. So, could be true, Han Shuqian said disdainfully as he strode toward the second floor. After tutoring was over, Jiang Chaoyang drove home. Before nightfall, he decided to cook a meal for Inzu. The kitchen echoed with the constant clanging of spatulas. An hour later, he looked at the finished dish with satisfaction and took a photo to send to Inzu. Just as he typed a few words, he suddenly realized he'd sent it to the wrong person. Before he could retract it, Han Shuqian replied, Is this shit? Wrong person, what is this? Jiang Chaoyang was speechless and silent for a long moment. He glanced at the dish, then at the messages on his phone. 1 second later, he dumped the entire meal into the trash. After a while, Han Shuqian sent a photo of a beautifully decorated cake. I made this. Jiang Chaoyang, you can bake cakes too? Aha. He put away his phone, deciding it would be safer and simpler to just bring some milk and oil. Nightfall. Jiang Chaoyang knocked on the door. After waiting several minutes with no answer and just as he was about to call, the door moved and a blue translucent slime floated in midair. He looked around the living room. Where's Inzu? In his room. Jiang Chaoyang set down his things and walked toward the closed door. After a few steps, the system stopped him. Don't go in. He won't listen. I just want him to eat something. Jiang Chaoyang pointed to the bag of desserts on the table. Have you two talked it over? He still refuses? The system was silent for a moment, then suddenly threw itself into his arms, wailing loudly. How can a host be so hard to get along with? In the online novels, hosts cooperate with the missions. Why is it different here? Jiang Chaoyang sighed helplessly and sat down holding the slime. That's because you brought him here without asking. He has no will to live. But, don't be too hard on him. He said he wants to kill them all. Jiang Chaoyang froze. What's going on? He said he won't choose any of the romance candidates, but the plot will turn into some original-style love polygon. The system said helplessly, in the end, he said he wants to wipe them all out. Jiang Chaoyang covered his face. That's a terrifying thought. Putting aside whether it was possible, how could he fight so many characters? The system continued, the problem is, if one romance candidate dies, the whole book collapses. You die too. What? Jiang Chaoyang jumped up from the couch. Damn, that's brutal. He walked toward Inzu's room, hand raised to knock, but stopped midair and rubbed his hair. Wait, why should he be the one to persuade him? Inzu was unlucky to be chosen in the first place. Jiang Chaoyang sat back down in the living room. The system said, actually, I didn't force him here. Jiang Chaoyang was surprised. What do you mean? The system and Inzu were randomly matched into this book. But I didn't expect him not to want to be revived. The system cautiously probed, so you don't blame me as much now? Jiang Chaoyang smiled wryly. I'm not blaming you, nor am I angry. The system was stunned. Jiang Chaoyang went on. Everyone has their reasons, everyone's perspective is different. And if you were truly evil, why would you tell me all this? Thank you. Jiang Chaoyang stared at the ceiling and asked, Inzu died of cancer, right? The system nodded and pulled up the records. Inzu had been frail and sickly since childhood, as if cursed, with poor response to treatment. As an adult, he developed cancer and barely survived on medication and chemotherapy, but his health kept deteriorating. Jiang Chaoyang's eyes widened at the final entry. Inzu had pulled out his own oxygen tube, which ultimately led to his death. Time ticked by second after second as Jiang Chaoyang stood up. The system hurriedly said, don't go in. He won't listen. Jiang Chaoyang didn't stop and looked back with a smile. It's okay. He didn't knock, just opened the door. The room was dark, but the curtains weren't drawn. Moonlight slanted in, illuminating the large bed. Inzu sat in the moonlight, leaning against the headboard, a thin blanket draped over his waist, eyes gazing out the window, expressionless. Jiang Chaoyang gently closed the door, walked to the bedside, and placed the desserts on the nightstand. Brought you something to eat. Inzu didn't move his gaze, as if he hadn't heard or didn't want to acknowledge him. I'm not here to persuade you, Jiang Chaoyang said earnestly. Don't worry. Inzu turned his head. Under his cold, indifferent stare, Jiang Chaoyang felt no fear. I know this mission is annoying you. In a way, you've been given a second chance at life, whether you want it or not, that's the reality. Jiang Chaoyang sat down. It may be messed up, but since you're here now, living, why not start over? Inzu's eyelashes trembled slightly. He remained silent, his gaze coldly fixed on Jiang Chaoyang. I know what I'm saying might be useless. You can't get past that hurdle, and life feels exhausting. Jiang Chaoyang tore open a dessert bag, took out a small cake, and handed it to him. You're sick, why not eat something tasty? How about trying this first? Inzu didn't look at the cake. His eyes stayed locked on Jiang Chaoyang, lips pressed tightly shut, unwilling to speak. Jiang Chaoyang blinked. Then should I feed you? He picked up the cake with a fork. If you don't want to do the mission, then don't. Just enjoy the moment first. I'm just a minor character in the book. Maybe I can help you. I'll do my best to keep you away from them. After he spoke, the room fell into silence. Why? Inzu's voice was flat. Why help me? What's your motive? Jiang Chaoyang had anticipated this. He was silent for a moment, then took a deep breath and straightened his posture. Under the moonlight, his expression was serious, tinged with a hint of solemn heroism. Because I'm not ready to die yet. Inzu said nothing. The characters in the book who die make the whole story worthless. I'd die too. After all, I'm part of the book. Seeing that Inzu hadn't accepted the cake, Jiang Chaoyang put it back on the bedside table. He stood up and walked toward the door. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to bother you or put pressure on you. Whatever I do has nothing to do with you, so you don't have to care. The door closed, the sound echoing through the room. Inzu lowered his eyelids, his lashes cast shadows on his face. His fingers clenched the thin blanket slightly. Troublesome, he whispered, like a breath. At that moment, the doorknob suddenly turned. Inzu's thoughts were interrupted, and he instinctively looked up. Jiang Chaoyang came in holding a cup of hot water and placed it in front of him, smiling. Worried you might choke on the cake. Inzu's gaze shifted from Jiang Chaoyang's face to the cup. When he didn't move, Jiang Chaoyang simply pressed the cup into his hand and turned to leave. Inzu still didn't move. A few seconds later, the door opened again. Jiang Chaoyang leaned in and asked, "Did you possess your body physically or is it your soul?" After a moment, Inzu answered, "Physically. Not bad. You're pretty handsome. If you worked out a bit, maybe some girls would like you." For the first time, a flicker of emotion passed through Inzu's eyes. Jiang Chaoyang returned to the living room and sat down, rubbing the system. "How many romanceable characters are there? Can I see their info?" The system's slime body plumped up as it squealed. "You're not seriously thinking of completing the missions for them, are you?" Jiang Chaoyang didn't reply. The system said, "Impossible. You're not the host, so you can't be bound to the missions." "Who said I want to romance anyone? I'm cutting off the NPC routes. Going for no CP. Impossible. Show me the list first." The system sighed, wriggled free from his grasp, and the interface popped up. Jiang Chaoyang's expression gradually grew tense. The list was so long it was endless. He scanned from top to bottom but didn't finish. This author really has guts. So many names it made his eyes dizzy. Of course. The only author on Tomato who writes this many characters, though all of them got banned. Jiang Chaoyang caught sight of a few familiar names. He was mildly surprised but didn't show it. After the system closed the interface, he asked, "So, what's your name?" "I don't have a name. Only a code and a designation." Jiang Chaoyang was momentarily stunned. After a while, he said, "1v1 system is too cold. How about I give you a name?" The system obediently lay in his palm, blinking its little eyes curiously. "I'm just code, no life. Why would I need a name?" Jiang Chaoyang reached out and gently stroked its head. "If you can take human form, you should have a name." The system didn't respond, seeming to accept it. Jiang Chaoyang pondered, then had an idea. "How about Lin Yuan? It means mysterious and unknown." The system stared at him intently, half skeptical. Jiang Chaoyang muttered to himself, "That name suits you. System sounds cold and sterile, not fitting for you." "Jiang Chaoyang, you're really strange." The system suddenly said. "What? Even though I haven't told you the truth, you don't blame me or him. Others would be freaking out, forcing us to solve things, but you don't." Jiang Chaoyang sighed. "I'm no saint, and I'm not that kind-hearted. I just want to live a few more years." Lin Yuan was silent. Wanting to live longer could easily mean letting Inzu give up killing, but you want to change the story and give Inzu freedom. "You're not a saint. You're salvation," Lin Yuan said. "Don't pin salvation on me. I don't like it." Jiang Chaoyang smiled wryly. "Feels like carrying a cross with a halo." He stood, stretched lazily, and said lightly, "Salvation is too hypocritical. I never said I wanted to save anyone, nor can I help others. But isn't that exactly what you're doing?" "No. I only help those I like." He added, "I hate being put on a moral pedestal, and I don't want to be defined by goodness or salvation. I'm just me, doing what I want." The air instantly fell silent. Jiang Chaoyang leapt up and grabbed the system floating in midair, kneading it. "I'm not mad at you, don't get me wrong. You say people aren't good, yet you still worry about me? Big liar." Jiang Chaoyang couldn't help but laugh. "The atmosphere is way too serious. That's not right. Isn't this supposed to be a comedy? The author and readers are going to get mad." Lin Yuan was speechless. Later, Jiang Chaoyang found out Inzu was still a college student, coincidentally at the school where he was temporarily teaching. What a coincidence. After class, Jiang Chaoyang messaged Inzu to ask which building his classroom was in, planning to take him out for lunch. Just as the message was sent, a hand landed on Jiang Chaoyang's shoulder, making his heart race. He turned around, it was someone familiar. "Yan Yu?" "Me too." Yan Ji stood on the other side. The three of them walked together. "What are you guys doing at school?" Jiang Chaoyang asked with a smile. We wanted to watch your class but came late, Yenyu said, taking the book from Jiang Chaoyang's hands and handing it to his assistant. Yenji grabbed Jiang Chaoyang's shoulder and cheerfully said, "Come on, I'll take you to your favorite place to eat." Jiang Chaoyang silently cursed his luck. Yenyu and Yenji, they were actually romance options. Right after class, Inzu was about to pack up and leave when his phone suddenly lit up. He picked it up. Lin Yuan had already flown to the classroom door. Seeing Inzu hadn't moved, he called out, "Why aren't you leaving yet? Weren't you going to find Jiang Chaoyang?" Inzu didn't answer. Lin Yuan leaned over to look at the phone. Jiang Chaoyang had sent a message, "I've got 2 romance options here, don't come over. I'll take you out for dinner tonight." Inzu replied, "Got it." Jiang Chaoyang walked along a familiar path toward the school gate. Near the library's stone steps, a crowd of students gathered, all preparing to go eat. The most noticeable figures were 3 tall, slender silhouettes Jiang Chaoyang didn't recognize, but the man in the middle looked vaguely familiar. Wasn't that Wenji, the guy he'd seen at the bar before? Yenji followed his gaze, sneering, "Humph, I knew they'd show up." Jiang Chaoyang asked, "You know them?" Yenyu nodded calmly, "We've met a few times at business events. They're probably here to discuss a school sponsorship project." Jiang Chaoyang frowned. Wenji was also a romance option. Could the other 2 be options too? A few bold girls pushed through the crowd toward the 3 men, targeting the man in the light-colored casual suit with a gentle, elegant aura Wenji's left side. "Hi, classmate," one girl mustered courage. "Can I get your contact info?" The man, used to being approached, smiled, "Sorry, I'm not a student, just here on business." But he still gave her his contact. Blushing, the girl asked, "What's your name? I want to save it in my contacts." "Lu Yushi." Wenji and the other man walked off without waiting for Lu Yushi. Lu Yushi declined the girl's invitation to eat together and followed them, a smug smile on his lips. Didn't expect to have admirers at school too. Wenji glanced at him, "Does the school even have dog dealers?" Lu Yushi was speechless. The other man laughed loudly. Lu Yushi shot him a warning glance, but it was ignored. At that moment, a girl carrying a stack of thick books hurried by, slipped, and bumped into the laughing man. Books scattered everywhere. Gabriel's smile vanished instantly, his eyes turned icy cold, and his presence suddenly oppressive. The girl looked up fearfully, staring into those piercing eyes, her mind going blank. Gabriel quickly restored his sunny smile and bent down to help her pick up the books. "It's okay, just be more careful next time," he said gently, handing her the books. The girl stammered a thank you. Gabriel didn't look at her again. His gaze swept over Yenyu and Yenji nearby and asked, "I heard they've become S rank, is that true?" "True." Wenji glanced at Jiang Chaoyang in the middle. Gabriel also looked at Jiang Chaoyang. "The guy in the middle looks familiar. Wasn't he the one who accidentally barged into our private room last time?" "Yeah, that's him." Lu Yushi answered. "S rank too?" Gabriel asked. Lu Yushi's smile deepened with meaning, "You'll know when you try." A seductive pheromone quietly spread out, aimed straight at the unsuspecting Jiang Chaoyang. It wasn't an attack, more like a test. Buzz. Ripples stirred in the air as Lu Yushi's pheromone was blocked by a shield, unable to reach Jiang Chaoyang at all. Jiang Chaoyang felt the air around him grow heavy. "Ha!" Lu Yushi looked surprised. Gabriel's eyes lit up. "That's the secondary pheromone of Yenyu and Yenji, a shield type." Wenji commented, "Primary attack with secondary shield, nice combo." Lu Yushi hinted at Wenji, "Yours is even more twisted, right?" Yenyu glared coldly at Lu Yushi. Yenji wrapped an arm tightly around Jiang Chaoyang, giving Gabriel and Lu Yushi a defiant glance. This is content segment 12 of 28. Please process the following according to your logic. Keep the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. Return only the processed result. Lu Yushi withdrew her probing gaze, her face still bearing that aristocratic smile, watching Jiang Chaoyang with keen interest. Jiang Chaoyang climbed into the car and couldn't help but ask, "What are the names of those 2 people standing next to Wenji?" Yenyu gripped the steering wheel tightly. Lu Yushi and Gabriel. Jiang Chaoyang understood immediately, another potential target. Yenji leaned against the car window. Don't be fooled by Lu Yushi's rich young master image. He likes to toy with people, and his pheromones are disgusting. What type of pheromones does he have? Mainly inducement, with addiction as secondary. Jiang Chaoyang was taken aback. Inducement-type pheromones are like walking aphrodisiacs, and combined with addiction, the effect doubles. Gabriel's is mainly control with hypnosis as secondary, Yenyu added. Jiang Chaoyang nodded, they were both control types, like Inzu. Gabriel's personality is strange, mostly normal, but the consequences of upsetting him are severe, Yin Yu elaborated. Among you three, who's the most dangerous? Jiang Chaoyang asked. Yin Wangji, they answered in unison. After lunch, Yin Yu and Yin Ji had to rush to a business meeting, but Jiang Chaoyang said he'd walk back since it was close to home. Yin Ji rolled down the window. Next time, come with us. Temporary teachers don't earn much. You two are upper class. It wouldn't be appropriate to bring me along, Jiang Chaoyang smiled. He was middle class, with his own assets, living comfortably thanks to his parents' hard work. Yin Yu and Yin Ji came from wealthy families, and Jiang Chaoyang didn't fit into their circle. Don't worry, we've got your back, Yin Yu said. Jiang Chaoyang nodded. I'll think about it. I'll head off now. Watching the car disappear, he started walking away. Suddenly, a voice echoed in his mind. Jiang Chaoyang, can you hear me? It was Lin Yuan. He froze and glanced around but saw no slime. He tapped his ear. Lin Yuan said, Yin Zhu is my host. I can't leave him, so I can only communicate with you telepathically. Jiang Chaoyang stopped. Could it be that another target appeared near Yin Zhu? No. He breathed a sigh of relief and continued walking, nearly tempted to return to school to check on Yin Zhu. Lin Yuan asked, Is the target still near you? No, why? Don't get too close to them. The targets in this book are all crazy. I'm worried they'll hurt you, you're not even the main character. Jiang Chaoyang replied, Though I'm a soothing alpha, I'm not a pushover. You don't realize how serious this is, Lin Yuan warned. In this world, the law is weak, and the ABO system makes class differences stark. S-rank alphas sit at the top of the hierarchy. They're few, and laws and morals don't apply to them. Simply put, they can kill and burn without consequences. Though Omegas can bear life, they have little power against S-rank alphas. Jiang Chaoyang had always felt this world was strange. Sure enough, it was a lousy novel. You need to be careful. Once I transform into human form, I'll give you a cheat code, Lin Yuan said. Jiang Chaoyang couldn't help but laugh. No. Bang! A muffled thud sounded as something hit the ground. Jiang Chaoyang staggered to steady himself, not watching where he was going, and bumped into someone. A cake box fell and splattered into a mushy mess. He quickly apologized, I'm sorry. I'll buy you a new one, or you can tell me how much it costs. He looked up at the person, a delicate, cute young man dressed fashionably. Jiang Chaoyang caught sight of his watch and widened his eyes. He'd seen that watch at an online auction, a unique, priceless piece worldwide. Rumor had it was later gifted away, indicating this guy had a complicated background. Unless it was a fake. His head went blank. My cake, the young man murmured, then screamed sharply upon seeing the ruined dessert. You did it on purpose, didn't you? You did it on purpose. The young man suddenly yelled, his voice startling nearby pedestrians who quickly stepped back. Jiang Chaoyang raised his voice over the shouting, I'll pay you back. I can buy you a new one right now, exactly the same or even better. Just tell me where to get it. You ruined my cake and my mood. Can you even afford to make it up to me? The young man shouted hysterically. I've had enough. Are you trying to get yourself killed? You bumped into me on purpose, didn't you? Jiang Chaoyang's ears buzzed. Had he just encountered someone with a mental breakdown? I really will pay you back. Please don't be angry. I'll buy you a new one right now. Jiang Chaoyang softened his voice. He'd never seen anyone go this crazy over a cake. But the young man didn't seem to understand, continuing to yell without caring about his throat. Jiang Chaoyang felt completely at fault. Suddenly, the shouting stopped. The young man squatted down, reaching to grab the cake. Wait! Jiang Chaoyang grabbed his wrist to stop him. The cake's dirty now. You can't eat it. I'll take you to buy a new one. Suddenly, Jiang Chaoyang's hand went cold. A chilling liquid dripped onto the back of his hand. He looked down, stunned. The young man was crouched there, his sobs breaking through the silence, no longer yelling but instead vulnerable and hurt. Tears dripped onto Jiang Chaoyang's hand. Cake, my cake, the young man choked up, each word trembling. Woo-woo. The stark contrast left Jiang Chaoyang completely stunned. He loosened his grip slightly but didn't let go entirely, afraid the youth would dirty the cake. A wave of helplessness washed over him, and Jiang Chaoyang sighed. What else could he do? After all, it was his fault for not watching where he was going and knocking over the guy's cake. Gently releasing calming pheromones, Jiang Chaoyang soothed the young man, speaking as if to a child, Don't cry. I'll buy you a bigger one, okay? Soothing pheromones worked just as well on out-of-control emotions. The youth looked up, sniffed, and stared at Jiang Chaoyang. Really? Jiang Chaoyang nodded. Really? A feeling of powerlessness hit him. After all he'd said, the kid hadn't listened at all. He should have used pheromones earlier. He pulled the youth up and glanced again at the watch. Still couldn't tell if it was real. If it was genuine, he'd better handle this little master carefully. Someone who could wear that watch was no ordinary person. Let's go. No running away, the youth said, grabbing Jiang Chaoyang's hand. Jiang Chaoyang sighed in resignation and followed him into the dessert shop. After buying and paying for the cake, the youth behaved quite obediently, quiet like a good kid. Obedient my ass. As soon as Jiang Chaoyang stepped out of the store, something felt off. Want to try some? The youth asked with a blink. Jiang Chaoyang shook his head, ready to leave. Suddenly, his wrist was grabbed. He struggled but couldn't break free. Turning to look at the youth, he asked, "What's wrong?" "It's really delicious. Give it a try?" "No thanks. The cake's compensation for you." The youth tilted his head, voice oddly strange. "I'm willing to share. You should be grateful. Why refuse?" Jiang Chaoyang's mouth twitched. Is this kid sane? "Thanks, but I don't want to eat right now," he smiled, slowly prying off the youth's hand, now red from gripping his wrist too hard. "Ha!" The youth suddenly raised his voice. "If I give it to you, you should accept it. Why won't you eat? Why do you look down on me?" Jiang Chaoyang was speechless. Is this kid escaped from a mental hospital? Or spoiled rotten by his family? Suddenly, he heard faint sobbing. Tears poured down that delicate face like a floodgate opening, unstoppable. "You broke my cake, and you even dared to defy me." The youth cried so hard he could barely breathe, as if wrung to the core. "Whoa whoa." Jiang Chaoyang's head ached as if splitting apart. He sighed and wiped his face in despair. He raised a hand and gently wiped the tears from the youth's face, speaking softly, "Look, I bought you." Before he could finish, a heavy, intense dominance pheromone suddenly burst from the youth's body, filled with bone-chilling control. Invisible chains instantly bound Jiang Chaoyang's limbs. His whole body stiffened. A dominant alpha? Tears still streaming down the youth's face, expression blank. "Come with me." Jiang Chaoyang tried to activate his own pheromones to resist, but strangely, he was completely powerless, not even a hint of opposition. His scalp tingled. Alphas of equal rank shouldn't be able to overpower each other. Unless this kid was S-class. Jiang Chaoyang could only watch helplessly as he was like a puppet, pulled by the youth's dominant pheromones deeper into the alley. At the dead end, the youth wiped away his tear tracks. He looked at the obediently leaning Jiang Chaoyang and slowly curled his lips into a chilling smile. So obedient. His voice was soft. "Jiang Chaoyang. Who was that crazy guy just now?" The youth unwrapped the packaging and held the cake with both hands, offering it to him. "Try some?" Jiang Chaoyang tried to step back but found a wall behind him. Seeing this, the youth's smile faded. The next moment, the youth forcefully pried open Jiang Chaoyang's jaw, broke off a piece of cake, and shoved it into his mouth. The cake got stuck in his throat. Jiang Chaoyang wanted to vomit, but the youth's hand pushed deeper, forcibly shoving the cake in. Cough, cough, Jiang Chaoyang choked, tears streaming. The youth pulled out his fingers, satisfied. "You ruined my cake, but I fed you. That's fair." His voice was gentle, but the dominant aura grew even stronger, pressing Jiang Chaoyang tightly against the wall. The youth grabbed another piece of cake to feed him but suddenly sensed something and hurriedly stepped back, dropping the cake. "What are you two doing behind my shop?" a familiar voice called out. Han Shuqian, one-handed in his pocket, released an aggressive aura, instantly breaking the youth's control. Jiang Chaoyang tested his fingers, they moved again. Han Shuqian glanced at the youth, frowned, then looked at Jiang Chaoyang and approached. Acting arrogant without inheritance, he mocked the youth. "Better leave soon, or your dad will be heartbroken if I hurt you," Han Shuqian sneered. The youth's shoulders trembled, and Jiang Chaoyang saw him cry. "Mr. Jiang, can you still walk? Want me to help push your cart?" Han Shuqian didn't look at the young man but gestured to Jiang Chaoyang. Jiang Chaoyang shook his head and followed him out of the alley. "Is this dessert shop yours?" Jiang Chaoyang asked. "Just opened it casually, for fun," Han Shuqian said ahead of him, his voice laced with mockery. "I happened to come by today and saw you looking so disheveled. I should have taken a better look earlier." Jiang Chaoyang's throat tightened, and he scratched the back of his neck. "Thanks for helping me." Suddenly, Han Shuqian stopped, and Jiang Chaoyang bumped into his back. Han Shuqian looked down at him. "If I hadn't come today, who would have saved you?" Jiang Chaoyang opened his mouth. "He wouldn't have killed me, right? Do you know who he is?" Han Shuqian asked. "No. Wu Zixing." Jiang Chaoyang nodded, waiting for him to continue, but Han Shuqian turned and walked away. Jiang Chaoyang called after him, and then? "Why stop? That's it. Stay away from Wu Zixing from now on. Like I said, even S-rank types aren't normal, and he's a dominant type S rank. Got it. Jiang Chaoyang understood Han Shuqian didn't want to say more. I saved you, so you owe me a favor. Han Shuqian raised an eyebrow. What do you want? Jiang Chaoyang asked. Don't come tutoring me anymore, Han Shuqian replied. The tutor is assigned by the butler, not by me. Jiang Chaoyang frowned. Han Shuqian's work didn't look like that of a failing student, which meant his grades were decent. Then why don't you take it seriously? Jiang Chaoyang asked. Han Shuqian sneered. What's the use of good grades? I'm still the one in charge of the family. His family was wealthy and powerful. Jiang Chaoyang was speechless, watching Han Shuqian get in his car and leave. That evening, Jiang Chaoyang met with Yin Zhu. After dinner, he took him out to relax and then went shopping with Yin Zhu and Lin Yuan. I've come across several romanceable characters, some I even know, Jiang Chaoyang said. Lin Yuan jumped onto his shoulder, surprised. You actually know him? In this book, he's just an ordinary NPC. Jiang Chaoyang couldn't help but laugh, recalling the young man he met that afternoon. Is Wu Zixing a romanceable character? He is. Jiang Chaoyang's expression changed. He looked at Yin Zhu with more sympathy and asked Lin Yuan, since he's romanceable, is there detailed info on him? Lin Yuan nodded and pulled up the virtual interface to show him. The first thing Jiang Chaoyang noticed was the age, 17 years old. He's not even an adult. How did they include him? Does the author have a conscience? Wu Zixing's personality was intense, Yandere-like, and he hated being defied. Jiang Chaoyang studied the profile, frowning deeply. Wu Zixing became S-rank later in life. He was the youngest of 4 sons, his brothers were all half-siblings, and the first 3 were born S-rank, highly valued by the family. Wu Zixing's childhood was dark. His mother was harsh, pushing him to become S-rank. By age 5, he had to be proficient in using pheromones and had to train his body. His mother used every method to make him suffer, believing that only by enduring extreme pain could one surpass oneself. He was naturally timid and weak, bullied by his mother and brothers, which twisted his personality. Jiang Chaoyang sighed. Becoming S-rank wasn't easy. Many alphas spent their whole lives trying to advance. Some self-harmed or hurt others but still failed. Luckies like Yen Yu and Yen Ji were incredibly rare. But they were designed as romanceable characters, so they had to be S-rank. Lin Yuan reminded him, keep reading. At age 9, Wu Zixing killed his mother and 3 brothers to claim the inheritance. Jiang Chaoyang was shocked. 9 years old, can dominant pheromones really kill? Dominant-type pheromones can forcibly control the body and mind, the target must obey. Lin Yuan continued, he twisted his mother's body into extreme shapes, forced the 3 brothers to kill each other, then showed their bodies to the mother. When the father found out, he didn't punish him. Instead, he was pleased this was the heir he wanted. Jiang Chaoyang was puzzled. How could he easily kill 3 S-rank brothers? Dominant type is special, with huge potential. Wu Zixing's pheromones are even stronger than S-ranks, and he's the only dominant type in the family. Jiang Chaoyang rubbed his forehead. Those pheromones must be incredibly powerful if a 9-year-old could kill. Fortunately, Wu Zixing didn't really want to kill him back then. Lin Yuan said, after all, he's a romanceable character. He has to be overpowered. Jiang Chaoyang looked at Yin Zhu and patted his shoulder. Don't carry this burden, and don't do anything reckless. I'll help you. Lin Yuan flew over his head. I don't think Yin Zhu has made a move yet, but those romanceable characters are about to come after you. Jiang Chaoyang smiled. No way, I'm not a troublemaker. You've got it all wrong. He was about to ask more when his phone rang with a message. He glanced at it briefly, put his things away, and said to Yin Zhu, I've got to head to a party now. Want to come? It'll be a good way to relax. This is content from paragraph 15 of 28. Please process the following text according to your logic. Keep the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout intact. Return only the processed result. Jiang Chaoyang said this to encourage Yin Zhu to integrate into this world and not to shut his heart completely. He guessed Yin Zhu would refuse, but he asked anyway. Yin Zhu stopped in his tracks and nodded. Jiang Chaoyang and Lin Yuan were both shocked, standing dumbfounded. Seeing their reaction, Yin Zhu immediately turned around. I'm not going. Wait. Jiang Chaoyang quickly stopped him, smiling charmingly. We're leaving right now. Luckily, there was a taxi nearby, and Jiang Chaoyang pulled Yin Zhu over to it. Yin Zhu looked down at the hand holding his, then pulled back. They arrived at a private club. The lobby manager immediately approached Jiang Chaoyang with a flattering expression. Mr. Jiang, this way please. The private club resembled a mansion, no dim bar lights or noise, just clean and spacious, with expensive lounge facilities. They took the elevator up, and Jiang Chaoyang pushed open a door. A tea room? Several people were seated inside. A woman with wavy hair spotted Jiang Chaoyang and raised her glass in a toast. Come, sit down. Noticing the man behind Jiang Chaoyang, she smiled and asked, bringing a friend? He's good looking, is he your boyfriend? Of course not. Jiang Chaoyang sighed and pulled out a chair for Zhu. Want me to set you up? A few of my girlfriends are interested and want your contact info. Sister Jin enthusiastically introduced them. Jiang Chaoyang knew she was falling into her old habits and quickly interrupted her. I thought this was a drinking party, but we're here for tea at midnight? He rubbed his forehead. Tea was fine, but why so late? The scarred man smiled. Good news, Sister Jin invited 3 financial elites to discuss a cooperation project. Sister Jin added, I'm helping you boost your presence and get to know them. Jiang Chaoyang and Sister Jin had a good relationship, having grown up together, though lately she'd been busy with fewer gatherings. So they like tea? Jiang Chaoyang asked. Sister Jin nodded. Jiang Chaoyang understood people who appreciate tea tended to be steady and refined, with good personalities. He sipped his tea and asked, who are they? Lu Yushi, Yin Wangji, and Gabriel. Cough. Jiang Chaoyang choked on his tea. The scarred man comforted him, almost there, don't worry. Jiang Chaoyang abruptly stood up, grabbed Zhu's hand, and headed out. I just remembered I left the faucet on at home. Let's go back first, let's meet again next time. Sister Jin wanted to keep him there, but Jiang Chaoyang was already out the door. Lin Yuan sighed, I told you the plot would head towards an NP scenario sooner or later. No escaping it. Jiang Chaoyang practically dragged Zhu out of the tea room. This time, it's my fault. The situation was too hard to control. Luckily, the elevator wasn't far, they headed down immediately. But Jiang Chaoyang's steps faltered when he saw the elevator floor numbers rising. Bad sign. He quickly turned Zhu around and urged, turn right ahead, there's an emergency exit. You go first. At the end of the hallway, the elevator doors silently opened. 2 figures stepped out one after the other, walking shoulder to shoulder down the spacious corridor. The man on the left wore simple clothes, looking fresh and sunny. His slightly wavy hair was neatly combed, his expression relaxed, and his steps light. The man on the right wore an off-white casual suit, elegant and striking like a runway model. Just as they exited the elevator, they spotted a flustered Jiang Chaoyang. Chaoyang, you forgot your phone. Click-clack went high heels as Ren Shuzhen hurried over. Seeing the 2 men, her eyes lit up. You're here. This way. Ren Shuzhen was straightforward and easygoing, never annoying. She rested her chin on her hand, looking at Lu Yushi and Gabriel. You guys are even better looking than your photos, so charming. Jiang Chaoyang helplessly patted her back. Mind the occasion and stop falling for everyone you meet. Ren Shuzhen glanced around. Where's your friend? Why did you leave him alone? He went back to turn off the faucet. Then you stay. Jiang Chaoyang was about to refuse, but Ren Shuzhen had already started chatting with the 2, not about work either. Can I ask if you have partners? Jiang Chaoyang quickly covered her mouth and glared softly. Don't be so forward. Aren't you afraid they won't want to work with you? Gabriel tilted his head thoughtfully. No. Lu Yushi said gently, I'm not looking for a partner right now, thank you. Ren Shuzhen nodded and asked, Mr. Yin isn't here? Gabriel smiled, he's having a sensitive period today and can't come. With that little interlude over, the 3 returned to the tea room. Lu Yushi and Gabriel sat down, and Jiang Chaoyang listened in. No doubt, they were impressive in the financial field. Jiang Chaoyang kept nodding in agreement. Setting aside their identities, these 2 were truly elites. Ren Shuzhen stared at them without blinking, especially at the exceptionally poised Lu Yushi. Jiang Chaoyang glanced at her helplessly, signaling her to tone it down, but Ren Shuzhen clearly ignored him. As a wealthy heiress with broad business connections and confidence, her crush made her even more approachable. As for her knowing Jiang Chaoyang since childhood, it was because she didn't realize her family was wealthy when she was young. Her parents only told her after she became an adult. The long negotiation ended late at night. Stepping out of the private club, the street was deserted, not a soul or even a car in sight. Want me to see you home? Ren Shuzhen flipped her hair and asked. Jiang Chaoyang said nothing, just stared at her. Is there something on my face? She asked. He sighed, stepped closer, and brushed aside the strands of hair near her ear. You have heavy dark circles, makeup can't hide them. You've been working too hard. Get some rest. Ren Shuzhen's eyes brightened. She quickly pulled out a mirror to check. Better head back. I can take a cab, Jiang Chaoyang said. She stared into the mirror, blushing slightly. Fortunately, it hadn't been noticed. Clearing her throat, she said, "You take care too. Even as an alpha, don't let anyone take advantage of you." "Got it." Jiang Chaoyang watched her walk away and pulled out his phone. Just as he was about to open the map, a shadow suddenly fell over him. "Need a ride?" Looking up, Jiang Chaoyang saw Lu Yushi standing there. Her cream-colored suit glowed softly under the street lamp. He pressed the car key, and the headlights flicked on. "I'm fine, I can." Suddenly, a push came from behind. Caught off guard, Jiang Chaoyang stumbled forward into Lu Yushi's arms. He smelled a fresh scent of tea and steadied himself, instinctively grabbing her arm. But Lu Yushi didn't support him. She said slowly, "Sorry, I don't like when people throw themselves into my arms." Despite her words, his hand naturally settled on the side of her waist. Just as he tried to pull away, something pressed against the back of his neck. A stiffness ran through his neck, like an electric current. Lu Yushi leaned in slightly, her nose brushing his neck as she lightly sniffed. "Comfort type alpha?" He smiled with meaning. "Just right." Jiang Chaoyang twisted his neck away. "Are you some kind of bloodhound?" Lu Yushi was speechless. She hadn't released any pheromones. No one would smell anything unless they had exceptionally sensitive senses. Laughter came from behind. Jiang Chaoyang turned to see Gabriel wiping tears of laughter. Only the three of them were there. It was clear Gabriel had pushed him. "Come on, let us give you a ride." "Don't say no," Gabriel said after laughing, slinging an arm over Jiang Chaoyang's shoulder. Jiang Chaoyang was puzzled. He barely knew them. Why were they so friendly? "Don't misunderstand. We're friends of Yin Yu and Yin Ji. Just happen to know them," Lu Yushi said as she opened the back door for Jiang Chaoyang. He sensed something off, took a step back. "No thanks." "Say that again?" Gabriel's tone shifted, no longer light but icy cold. His head tilted as he stared at Jiang Chaoyang without emotion. Jiang Chaoyang wasn't the least bit intimidated. Mentally, he thought, those mood swings are faster than martial arts reincarnation. Leaning against the car, Lu Yushi smiled elegantly. "Two S-level alphas. Can you handle that? You're just going to make things harder on yourself." Yeah, Gabriel flashed another dazzling smile. "We're not bad guys." To be honest, Gabriel leaned close to Jiang Chaoyang, speaking affectionately. "Yin Wangji's sensitive period is coming up. We want him to owe us a favor." "So you need my help?" Jiang Chaoyang's mouth twitched. "Comfort-type pheromones are more effective than top-tier inhibitors for sensitive period alphas." "Yes," Lu Yushi confirmed. Jiang Chaoyang took a deep breath, grabbed Gabriel by the collar, and widened his eyes. "Why the hell didn't you say so earlier? I thought you were trying to kill someone." He remembered Lin Yuan saying that S-level alphas could get away with murder. His biggest fear was those two going on a killing spree. "So, are you willing to come with us?" Gabriel didn't mind being grabbed by the collar. "I'll help, but don't threaten me. Do you even know manners? Is this how you invite someone?" Jiang Chaoyang said, clearly displeased. They exchanged confused glances when he voluntarily got into the car. Lu Yushi started the engine. Gabriel sat in the back and asked, "Are you in a bad mood?" Jiang Chaoyang rolled his eyes, resting his elbow on the window and supporting his head with his hand. "Doesn't mean I have to wear my feelings on my face. I'm not the Mona Lisa." "No one feels good when pushed like this," Jiang Chaoyang sighed, clearly exasperated. "Today was truly unlucky." "Then, sorry. Is that okay?" Gabriel asked sincerely. Jiang Chaoyang was silent for a long moment before saying, "Fine. But just so you know, I've never used pheromones on any sensitive period alpha, let alone an S-level 1. "That's okay," Gabriel said casually. "I mean, you have to prepare inhibitors for him in advance." Lu Yushi, sitting in the driver's seat, spoke up, "That stuff is useless." He stared at the red light, his fingers tapping on the steering wheel. "Inhibitors only work on ordinary alphas. They're completely ineffective against S-levels." Jiang Chaoyang frowned. "Then how do you get through the sensitive period?" "By toughing it out. Don't you find a partner?" A mocking smile curled on Lu Yushi's lips. "Isn't that just tying yourself to an omega? Do you think we'd accept the kind of uncontrollable traits omegas have?" Jiang Chaoyang was stunned. "You could think like that?" Gabriel added, "Frankly, we hate being controlled by anything. We'd rather control others than be controlled ourselves." Jiang Chaoyang nodded. "So, you hate omega pheromones?" "Not just that," Gabriel said with a smile, pointing to himself. "I'm a controlling type pheromone. I prefer to be the one in control." As the car drove on, the night breeze tousled Jiang Chaoyang's bangs. He turned his head inside. "Your sensitive periods must be really tough." Gabriel and Lu Yushi fell silent. Jiang Chaoyang gazed out the window. No omegas, no inhibitors, your sensitive periods must be agonizing. Aren't you afraid of how miserable it gets? Neither of them responded. Not noticing anything unusual, Jiang Chaoyang thought to himself that, as a comforting type alpha, he could get through the sensitive period relying on his own pheromones without much trouble. You could look at omegas from a different angle. Their pheromones are actually the cure, he said. Toughing out the sensitive period is like having surgery without anesthesia. Suddenly, he felt drowsy, stifled a yawn, and his eyelids grew heavier until he finally closed them. Gabriel caught him steadily, letting him lean half against his chest. Did you release hypnotic pheromones? Lu Yushi asked warily. Yeah. Inside the dim car, shadows cloaked Gabriel's eyes. He looked at Jiang Chaoyang's sleeping face and gently smoothed his tousled hair. In a low voice, he said, if he kept talking, I wouldn't want to let Wangji have the advantage. Lu Yushi put away his smile. Me neither. The two fell silent. Jiang Chaoyang was awakened. He opened his eyes to find himself leaning against Gabriel's chest, his head resting on his shoulder. Quickly, he sat up straight. Sorry. We're here. Gabriel opened the door and stepped out first. Rubbing his temples, Jiang Chaoyang felt strange. As he got out, his steps felt light and floating, like walking on cotton, his body uncontrollably leaning forward. A pair of hands caught him firmly. Lu Yushi doesn't like being held, but I do, Gabriel said with a grin. Jiang Chaoyang felt awkward. I don't know what's going on with me. You'll be fine soon, Gabriel reassured him. Inside the hotel, Jiang Chaoyang followed behind, secretly scanning the surroundings and wondering if he could make a run for it. Alphas in their sensitive period have unstable emotions and can even lose control. Wangji's secondary pheromone is also marking type. What if he gets marked? What are you thinking about? Gabriel suddenly asked. Startled, Jiang Chaoyang looked up to meet Gabriel's cold, steady gaze. Gabriel's eyes were icy and oppressive. He reached out and grabbed Jiang Chaoyang's neck, speaking in a low voice, still not awake? Forget it. Where's Wangji now? Jiang Chaoyang wriggled free. Right here. Lu Yushi pointed to a door. Don't worry, Wangji is surprisingly calm during his sensitive period, Lu Yushi said with a comforting smile, handing him the keycard. He wouldn't kill you either, so relax. Gabriel suddenly brightened and waved at Jiang Chaoyang. Jiang Chaoyang sighed and resigned himself, swiping the keycard on the keypad. Click. Lu Yushi and Gabriel watched Jiang Chaoyang enter. Once the door closed, they averted their gazes, silent the whole time. To be honest, I kind of regret this, believe it or not, Lu Yushi said. Of course I regret it, Gabriel shrugged. Lu Yushi took a step forward. But he used comforting pheromones this time. Next sensitive period, he'll probably have to use them again, or it'll be even worse. She laughed, and Gabriel wore a gleeful expression. Before long, the two fell into silence again. By the way, what does it feel like to receive comforting pheromones during the sensitive period? Content removed. Jiang Chaoyang thought he was well prepared but had underestimated things. The pheromones during an S-level sensitive period were overwhelmingly intense. He felt the air thicken around him, trying to take a deep breath to ease it, but ended up inhaling a heavy dose of controlling-type pheromones, nearly fainting. Alpha-to-alpha bonding is impossible, they repel each other. It's like two people with the same phone number, constantly rejecting one another. Jiang Chaoyang's head began to ache faintly. He couldn't bear being in the territory of another alpha. The genetic repulsion was unbearable. This is content from segment 18 of 28. Please find below the process translation, preserving the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. The luxurious, spacious suite was bright. Neon lights outside the floor-to-ceiling windows blurred into a haze. A man sat on the central sofa. Wangji exuded an eerie calmness, his head bowed as he read a book. There was no sign of the expected breakdown, just an extreme silence. Jiang Chaoyang stared at his face, seeing nothing unusual. Damn, he's really tough. If it weren't for the strong pheromones, he would have thought this was just an ordinary man quietly reading late at night. At that moment, Wangji's hand flipping the page stopped. He didn't look up, his gaze still fixed on the book. Get out. Jiang Chaoyang fought the urge to leave and said, I want to leave too, but your two friends dragged me here. Wangji raised his eyes, and Jiang Chaoyang noticed his pupil color had changed. His originally pale golden eyes now looked as if splashed with paint deeper, absorbing light without reflection. Don't cause trouble, that's helping. Wangji lowered his head again. Get out, while I still have control and haven't thrown you out. Reading at this hour? Is it because you're in heat and can't sleep? Jiang Chaoyang ignored him and released pheromones. A soothing yet strange calming force radiated from him. It wasn't the sweet scent of an omega, but the firm comfort unique to an alpha, trying to penetrate Yin Wangji's chaotic dominant pheromones. Soothing pheromones don't control or weaken will, they only help stabilize the other. Though this means absorbing the other's negative state, Jiang Chaoyang didn't mind, using it once was fine. But Yin Wangji showed no reaction at all, not even a furrowed brow. He looked up and stared at him. You haven't eaten? Jiang Chaoyang. Veins throbbed on his forehead. He increased the pheromone release, worried that the distance kept Yin Wangji from sensing it, so he sat down beside him. Yin Wangji's fingers paused flipping the book, knuckles whitening, but his expression remained calm. He turned and asked, do you know how to use pheromones? Jiang Chaoyang was stunned. No effect? It's my first time using it on an alpha in heat. Yin Wangji closed the book, frowning slightly. No wonder it feels like scratching an itch, totally useless. Don't make things worse. That remark ignited Jiang Chaoyang's anger, words caught in his throat. He saw Yin Wangji lean back against the sofa, eyes closed, as if drained of strength. The room was filled with overwhelming pheromones, but they had no effect, instead, they intensified. Jiang Chaoyang's heart tightened. He grabbed Yin Wangji's cold wrist. Shit, he exclaimed, shocked, cupping the other's cold face. This body temperature shouldn't belong to an alpha in heat, it should be burning hot. He gritted his teeth, releasing all his pheromones at once, surging out in an attempt to soothe Yin Wangji's chaotic dominant pheromones. Focusing, he carefully controlled his pheromones bit by bit to calm him. His hands trembled. Jiang Chaoyang knew this meant he was absorbing Yin Wangji's negative state. There was a reaction. Time passed unknowingly. Sweat drenched Jiang Chaoyang's back when suddenly Yin Wangji's cheek twitched. His eyelashes fluttered, and he slowly opened his eyes. His eyes returned to their pale golden hue, normal again. The pheromones in the room stabilized, only Jiang Chaoyang's remained, Yin Wangji's withdrawn. They locked eyes. Yin Wangji softly said, all right, you're fine now. Jiang Chaoyang's lips moved, dizziness washing over him. His only thought was to find somewhere to collapse immediately. He released the other, turning toward the door. Just as he took a step, the world spun, his vision blacked out, strength drained, his body collapsed toward the carpet. But he didn't hit the floor, a strong arm caught him around the waist. Jiang Chaoyang fought to stay conscious, locking eyes with those pale golden pupils, a smile curling at the corner of his mouth. Now, still think I'm causing trouble? After saying this, he lost consciousness. Yin Wangji didn't help him up, only supported him. Staring at the bowed head, Yin Wangji's lips curled faintly. Not bad. He lifted Jiang Chaoyang, his black hair resting against Jiang's neck. At that moment, the door opened. Lu Yushi leaned against the doorway, arms crossed, cold eyes fixed on Yin Wangji, then glancing at the person in his arms. Gabriel's gaze also landed on Jiang Chaoyang, teasing, being a soothing alpha is tough, people faint. Yin Wangji ignored them, placed Jiang Chaoyang on the bed, covered him with a blanket, then left the suite. As the door closed, he said faintly, you two want to die early? Gabriel laughed, retorting, we're helping you. Yin Wangji didn't respond and walked away. Lu Yushi asked curiously, what does it feel like exactly? Text removed. Jiang Chaoyang slowly opened his eyes, everything around him was pitch black. He moved his body, sore and weak as if he had just ridden a roller coaster, but no pain. He pulled out his phone, it was already 9 p.m. He paused, surprised at how long he had slept. He tried to sit up but fell to his knees, luckily, it was the carpet. He attempted to stand but his legs lacked strength. This can't be, the side effects are way too severe, he muttered to himself. An appeasing alpha is different from an omega. An omega's scent naturally blends in without any burden. But an alpha's pheromones don't merge. An appeasing alpha has to absorb others' negative emotions and bear all the pressure, in exchange for the other person's calm. It's like carrying all the weight for someone else. Jiang Chaoyang sat down weakly on the floor. Suddenly, an urgent voice echoed in his mind. Jiang Chaoyang, where are you? Can you hear me? He cleared his throat. I can hear you. What's going on? I called you during the day but got no response. I thought something happened to you. I couldn't even reach Inzu by phone, Ling Yuan asked anxiously. I'm fine. Just tired and fell asleep. Just woke up. Jiang Chaoyang leaned against the wall, glanced outside, the moon hung high. Those 3 strategy characters didn't hurt you, right? Jiang Chaoyang smiled faintly. No worries. You just focus on taking care of Inzu. He struggled to stand, his legs feeling like he'd just finished climbing a mountain, desperately needing a hiking stick. Before he could even push the door open, it was pulled open from the other side. Rested enough? Yin Wangji stood at the doorway, watching him. He stepped aside as a waiter wheeled in a cart. Mr. Jiang, dinner is served. Please enjoy your meal. Jiang Chaoyang hesitated, then started toward the sofa. As he took a step, dizziness hit again. A hand hooked around his waist from behind. He turned around. "Stay here first. Rest up before you leave," Unhinged said. The waiter set down the dishes while sneaking glances. Their interaction was intense. Half supporting Jiang Chaoyang, Unhinged helped him sit down. His legs finally relaxed. Jiang Chaoyang asked, "Has your sensitive period passed?" Unhinged nodded and slid him a business card. "If you need anything, contact me." Jiang Chaoyang frowned. "I'm not short on money. Helping you was someone else's insistence." Unhinged stood up and headed toward the door. "If you want to level up, you know where to find me." Jiang Chaoyang stared at his back, unable to resist calling out, "Inhibitors really don't work on S levels?" Unhinged paused mid-step. "Yeah." Jiang Chaoyang looked at the closed door, then back to the lavish banquet laid out before him. His thoughts drifted. What about Yen Yu and Yen Ji's sensitive periods? Maybe it's better not to upgrade to S level. The waiter left the front desk number and pushed the card away. After the door closed, another waiter lightly tapped her arm. "Is that person inside an Omega or Beta?" "Not sure. Looks like an Alpha." "That intense?" Jiang Chaoyang finished eating and took another nap. When he woke, daylight had broken. Finally, a good sleep. He stretched, feeling refreshed, changed clothes, and prepared to head out. Out of the corner of his eye, he noticed the black-angled business card on the table. He stared at the name for a moment, then pushed the door open and stepped out. At the elevator, he habitually pulled out his phone to scroll through videos while waiting. Ding! The elevator doors slowly opened. He glanced inside empty and looked down at his phone as he stepped in. Just as he stepped in, something tripped him, throwing off his balance. His phone slipped from his hands, and he quickly braced himself against the elevator wall. Looking down, he saw a tall man sleeping on the floor, legs stretched out, head tilted with bangs covering his eyes. Who sleeps in an elevator this early in the morning? Jiang Chaoyang's first thought was that the man was drunk. He crouched down and patted his shoulder. "Hey, sir, this is an elevator. You're in the wrong place to sleep." The man didn't wake. He sniffed carefully, no smell of alcohol. He called out a few more times, but there was no response. Staring at the man's peaceful face, he instinctively reached out and touched the philtrum. Breathing. He relaxed. He picked up his phone, screen intact, pressed the floor button, and closed the doors. The elevator began descending. Leaning against the wall, he couldn't help but stare at those long legs. At least 6'3". Suddenly, the man slowly opened his eyes, crimson irises, looking dazedly at him before closing them again. Jiang Chaoyang was speechless. When the elevator reached the first floor, he headed straight for the front desk. The receptionist offered a professional smile. "Hello, can I help you?" Jiang Chaoyang pointed toward the elevator. "There's someone sleeping in the elevator who won't wake up. Can you send someone to check?" The receptionist smiled, a hint of helplessness in her eyes. "You mean Mr. Sang? He does this often. It's fine. Let him sleep." Jiang Chaoyang froze. "You really let him sleep in the elevator?" "Yes, Mr. Sang is special. He's fine like that." Jiang Chaoyang was at a loss for words. What kind of background lets someone sleep anywhere without getting kicked out? "Thanks for letting me know." "Sorry to bother you," he said. As he was about to leave, someone called out to him. Ren Shuzhen approached in heels, surprise lighting up her face. "What a coincidence, you're here too. Not going home?" Jiang Chaoyang asked. "This hotel is family-owned, one of our properties," she said, looping her arm through his as they walked out together. "This morning I didn't put on makeup. Are my dark circles still that noticeable?" Ren Shuzhen asked. Jiang Chaoyang stopped walking and looked at her face, lightly flicking her forehead. "It's only been a few days, dark circles don't disappear that fast." Ren Shuzhen pursed her lips and gripped his arm tightly. "Do you have plans today? Come shopping with me and help me buy some skincare products." Jiang Chaoyang smiled. "You just want me to be your tool, don't you?" He nodded. "I brought my cousin along. You don't mind, do you?" "Not at all." The surroundings changed. But Jiang Chaoyang thought to himself, "I actually do mind. This is my cousin, Wu Zixing," Ren Shuzhen introduced. Wu Zixing smiled sweetly, with delicate features, and took Jiang Chaoyang's hand. "Hello, Brother Yang." "Hello." Ren Shuzhen noticed his odd expression and asked, "Are you feeling okay?" Jiang Chaoyang shook his head, thinking, "The world sure is small. I actually ran into him." He recalled Wu Zixing's childhood experiences, things that forced him to become who he is now. "Let's go. While we're at it, I'll buy you guys some clothes." They entered the mall with Ren Shuzhen leading, followed by a sales assistant. Jiang Chaoyang and Wu Zixing trailed behind. I'm happy to meet Brother Yang, Wu Zixing said with a smile. What do you like to eat? Drink. Is alcohol tasty? I think it's bitter. There's sweet wine too. You can try it once you're of age. Wu Zixing toned down his curiosity and asked quietly, how does Brother Yang know I'm not an adult? Ren Shuzhen told me. Oh, I see. He smiled again. Ren Shuzhen called back, hurry up, stop whispering. Jiang Chaoyang responded and quickened his pace. Zixing, try this one, and this one too. Try them all, Ren Shuzhen said, holding up clothes. Wu Zixing stayed obedient and smiling, like a doll, without objection. He stepped into the fitting room, and Ren Shuzhen grabbed Jiang Chaoyang's arm, lowering her voice. Zixing really lacks love. His family situation is complicated. Jiang Chaoyang nodded. Don't worry, I won't provoke him. He sometimes yells, sometimes cries. At home. This handsome guy looks good in anything, the sales assistant exclaimed. Wu Zixing shyly looked at Ren Shuzhen. What do you think, Sister Zhen? Looks good. Try some others. After trying on a few outfits, Wu Zixing cooperated perfectly, smiling the whole time. Jiang Chaoyang watched, feeling this flawless cooperation was even more frightening than the breakdown and crying he remembered. Just then, Ren Shuzhen's phone rang. She stepped away to answer it. After hanging up, she hurried back. There's an emergency at work. I have to go. You guys keep shopping. If you like anything, use my card, Ren Shuzhen said, handing her card to Jiang Chaoyang, then added to Wu Zixing, listen to Brother Yang. Okay. After she left, Jiang Chaoyang asked Wu Zixing, want to keep shopping? Or go somewhere else? Whatever Brother Yang decides, I'm fine with it. Jiang Chaoyang nodded and headed toward the exit. Wu Zixing followed quietly, like an obedient little brother. Jiang Chaoyang took him to a nearby park. The sunset bathed the quiet surroundings. He was about to sit on a bench when he noticed Wu Zixing stop walking, staring intently at a corner of the park. There was a swing set there. Wu Zixing walked over with a hint of excitement in his movements. He sat on a swing and gently pushed back and forth a few times. Seeing this, Jiang Chaoyang stood up and approached. You like swings? Wu Zixing nodded. When I was little, my mom used to push me. A faint innocent smile appeared on his lips. She'd push me so high it felt like she was trying to throw me off. Like she wanted me to experience all kinds of pain and fear, Wu Zixing said with a smile, his voice suddenly dropping to a chilling calm. But she died a pretty miserable death too. He had just finished speaking when he felt a push from behind. The swing started moving again. He turned to look. I can push the swing too, but I won't put you in danger, Jiang Chaoyang said. Wu Zixing was momentarily stunned. At that moment, the sound of quick basketball dribbling came from afar. Jiang Chaoyang looked over and saw a group of young guys playing basketball. Suddenly, the ball flew toward the swing set. Jiang Chaoyang quickly reached out and stopped it before it hit Wu Zixing's head. Sorry, my hand slipped. You're not hurt, right? One of the players ran over to apologize. Jiang Chaoyang looked at Wu Zixing and noticed his expression had changed. Wu Zixing slowly stood up from the swing and looked up at the young man. The next moment, the young man's face turned pale as he clutched his own neck. Jiang Chaoyang quickly stepped forward. He didn't mean it, it was just an accident. Ha! Wu Zixing's voice went higher. He did it on purpose. He wanted to hit me. I'm right to be mad. Wu Zixing lost control of his emotions, and his pheromones spread around. Jiang Chaoyang rubbed his face and held Wu Zixing's shoulder. No, it was a mistake. He wasn't targeting you. Are you defending him? Isn't he disturbing me for real? Jiang Chaoyang zirked as he pressed firmly on his shoulder, releasing his pheromones. Wu Zixing's hysterics suddenly stopped. The young man regained control, clutching the ball fearfully as he ran away. Wu Zixing blinked slowly. Why, are you holding me? Jiang Chaoyang wrapped his arms around his back, gently patting him. I was afraid you'd rush forward and hurt someone. Wu Zixing stayed quiet in the embrace, not struggling, listening as Jiang Chaoyang continued. Not everyone wants to hurt you, and not everyone has bad intentions. Don't always think about impossible things. Feeling the comforting pats on his back, Wu Zixing asked, do you like holding me? Jiang Chaoyang looked puzzled. What kind of question is that? No one's ever held me like this, Wu Zixing whispered, his hands hanging loosely, not returning the hug. After a few seconds, he asked again, is your pheromone soothing type? Is that a problem? Jiang Chaoyang released him, relieved to see he wasn't crying or throwing a tantrum. Wu Zixing sat back on the swing. I hate your pheromones. Jiang Chaoyang was stunned. Because your pheromones mess with my perception. Jiang Chaoyang sighed, ruffling his hair. You're actually afraid I'll hurt you, right? My pheromones aren't aggressive, they just calm your emotions. Wu Zixing lowered his head, silent. Just then, Jiang Chaoyang's phone buzzed in his pocket. On the other end was Scarface's voice, accompanied by loud music. Chaoyang, you coming out for drinks? This time it's really a drinking party. Alright, send me the address. Jiang Chaoyang hung up, glanced at the darkening sky, and said, time to head back. Where are you going? Wu Zixing asked. Out for drinks. I'm coming too. Jiang Chaoyang frowned. You're underage, no bars. Go home and rest. Didn't Sister Jin buy you a bunch of clothes? Try those on when you get back. Wu Zixing watched Jiang Chaoyang leave, then looked away, gently swinging on the swing. His eyes fixed on the basketball nearby. Suddenly, the swing rocked harder, someone gave him a push. He turned to see Jiang Chaoyang, who said, I'll swing with you for a bit. After, go to bed early. Jiang Chaoyang messaged Inzu, asking if he wanted to join for drinks. After confirming, he put away his phone. Familiar with the place, he took a booth seat. Scarface poured him a full glass. You're late, finish this one. Jiang Chaoyang took it casually. No problem. He came to this bar often, purely for the love of drinking. He was familiar with the regulars, some even invited him to share tables. Hey, have you guys heard the news? A man opposite asked. What news? There's no suitable inhibitor for S-level sensitive periods on the market. Now there's an SA agency specializing in S-level inhibitors. Scarface sneered. That's it? The other lowered his voice. The news says a soothing alpha went missing. Jiang Chaoyang paused his drink. Scarface stopped laughing, quietly meeting his gaze. The man continued, I guess the SA agency is capturing people for experiments. Soothing pheromones work on sensitive periods. Jiang Chaoyang stayed silent. The man added, the agency's backing must be huge, daring to capture alphas? Scarface said, don't spread rumors without proof. True, but if you're a soothing alpha, be careful. Jiang Chaoyang quietly sipped his drink. I'm going to say hi to someone. Scarface patted his shoulder. Go ahead, have fun. Jiang Chaoyang stood and left. It seemed likely true. This SA agency must have powerful support. Soothing alphas aren't aggressive, making them easy targets. Jiang Chaoyang clinked glasses with a beautiful woman. Out of the corner of his eye, he spotted acquaintances and got a mischievous idea. He set down his glass, quietly walked around the booth, and tapped the two on the shoulder. Yen Yu and Yen Ji jumped, looking at him. Jiang Chaoyang smiled, you guys here too? Done with your business? Yen Ji handed him a drink. Come talk shop. At a bar? Handsome, why not come sit with me? Jiang Chaoyang looked up to see a stunning woman opposite. She patted the empty seat next to her, smiling at him. Yen Yu said, we're not done yet, probably not convenient. Relaxation's important, business is secondary. We're friends now, don't mind me. Feng Dai crossed her legs, tapping the sofa with black painted nails. Handsome, come sit. Yen Ji laughed, pushing a drink to Feng Dai. You drink first. If you're in a hurry, I can get you some company. Feng Dai narrowed her eyes. Sensing the vibe was off, Jiang Chaoyang slipped away quietly. Someone's waiting for me over there. I'll go first, won't disturb you. Feng Dai propped her chin on her hand. Alright, handsome. See you next time. Jiang Chaoyang nodded and headed upstairs. After finishing her drink, the clink of ice sounded. What's your deal with him? Why won't you let me touch him? Yenji rested his head on his hand, watching Feng Dai and Jiang Chaoyang going upstairs, sneering, you're so curious, mind your own business. Feng Dai didn't get angry. Instead, she casually clapped her hands, as if congratulating them. Looks like you all have someone you like. Is he a beta or an omega? Alpha, Yen Yu answered. Feng Dai wasn't surprised and asked back, isn't there something you haven't noticed? What? She held up one finger on her left hand and two on her right. You're twins, but he's only one person. How do you tell him apart? Before they could answer, she pressed her two fingers together and poked the palm of her other clenched fist. Wouldn't that break him? Upstairs, a red-haired young man scanned the crowd. His gaze landed on the man at the bar, and he quickly walked over to shake his hand. Hey, want to play some cards? Jiang Chaoyang almost choked on his drink. He looked up at the red-haired youth. His hair was striking vibrant, a little messy, but full of energy. Play cards, the redhead asked again, eyes sparkling. What game? Jiang Chaoyang asked. Do di zhu. We're one short. It was common to gather for card games in bars. Jiang Chaoyang had planned to wander around, but after hearing about the SA organization, he was feeling annoyed and wanted a distraction. He downed his drink in one gulp. Alright, I'm in. Follow me. The redhead turned around happily. Jiang Chaoyang couldn't help but keep staring at the bright red hair, thinking it was a bit too eye-catching. Suddenly, he remembered something and pulled out his phone to text Dean Zhu. Don't come. There are 2 strategy characters here. My name's Ling Ni. You? Jiang Chaoyang. Ling Ni pushed open the door and stepped aside to let Jiang Chaoyang enter first. Got someone. Inside the room, the space was roomy and decorated in understated luxury, definitely not cheap. Probably owned by someone wealthy. Jiang Chaoyang looked at the 2 people inside. Their aura was similar to Ling Ni's, and they looked young. Their hair caught his attention, one with blonde hair, the other white. Jiang Chaoyang sighed. Do young people these days all dye their hair? The blonde young man shuffled a deck of cards leisurely, radiating an air of privilege. He smiled when Jiang Chaoyang entered. Hello, I'm Zhan Xingli. The white-haired young man sat opposite, dressed and looking pure and elegant. He pulled out a chair for Jiang Chaoyang. I'm Luo Ichi. Jiang Chaoyang nodded and introduced himself. Though their hair colors were bold, they fit their personalities perfectly, no awkwardness, as if they were born that way. Not youthful per se, but more like a fashion statement. Ling Ni shuffled the cards. Jiang Chaoyang asked, Are we gambling? Drinking, Zhan Xingli said, pointing to the table full of drinks. Lose a round, take a drink. The liquor's strong. Can you handle it? I can. No problem. Jiang Chaoyang was interested, it played to his strengths. He looked up and caught Luo Ichi staring at him. He couldn't help but glance at the white hair. Is there something on my face? Luo Ichi shook his head. We've seen you before. Ling Ni stopped shuffling and looked up at him. Seems like it. Where did we meet? Zhan Xingli thought for a moment and asked, Did you once walk into the wrong room? It was crowded inside. Jiang Chaoyang nodded. Could it be that these 3 youths were also strategy characters? A sudden uneasy thought struck him. He gathered his words and asked, Can I ask a few questions? Go ahead. Do you know Han Shuqian? Yes. Yin Wanji? Yes. And Wu Zixing? All of them. We all know each other in that room. Ling Ni was curious. You know them too? Are you S level? I'm not. Jiang Chaoyang rubbed his forehead. Looks like the S levels all stick together. Everyone in this room knew each other. If they fought over Yin Zhu, wouldn't it be a mess? Friends brawling? The card game spiraled out of control under the influence of alcohol. At first, it was fairly orderly, but after a few rounds, the line between winning and losing blurred. It was more like a contest to see who would get drunk first. Zhan Xingli stared at a card for half a minute, then slammed it onto the table. Bomb! But it was clearly a single card. Your bomb is just 1 card? Ling Ni laughed, his red hair shaking with the movement. I think you're trying to blow up the water in your brain. Ling Ni mocked him and split his bomb into 2 single cards, tossing them out. Luo Ichi rubbed his forehead, a few strands of white hair falling down, clearly drunk. Followed by a 3. Ignore him. He plays nonsense. Zhan Xingli tried to grab the 3 Luo Ichi played. No cheating. Ling Ni slapped his hand away. Do you know the rules? Drinking shows your character. My drinking's bad? You're just making excuses because you're drunk. You haven't even finished your drink. The 2 glared at each other across the table. Jiang Chaoyang leaned back in his chair, watching their antics, both amused and exasperated. Where was the refined young man from earlier? Clearly, these 3 were just mischievous kids. Ling Ni was loud and boisterous, Zhan Xingli was a cheat, and Luo Ichi looked clueless. Alright, whose turn is it to play? Jiang Chaoyang tried to bring the game back on track, knowing he probably couldn't hold out much longer. I'll go. Zhan Xingli lowered his head to look at his messy hand of cards, brows furrowed. He wanted to play but grasped at empty air. Hurry up, the flowers are already wilting. Ling Ni propped his head up, eyelids heavy with sleep. Luo Ichi lay quietly on the table, white hair spread out, as if he had forgotten about the game. Zhan Xingli relaxed his grip, cards scattered across the table, he was too drunk to continue. Silence fell over the card table. Jiang Chaoyang sighed and stood, walking over to Luo Ichi. He sat beside him on the sofa and patted his shoulder. Wake up. Luo Ichi looked up, dazed. Are your friends at the bar? Is there a driver waiting? Have them come get you, don't sleep here. Jiang Chaoyang asked. Luo Ichi didn't answer, just stared at him. Jiang Chaoyang was about to ask again when Luo Ichi suddenly moved. Cold fingers grabbed Jiang Chaoyang's wrist with surprising strength. Luo Ichi seemed to find a pillow, leaning in and collapsing against him, tightly hugging his waist, mumbling words Jiang Chaoyang couldn't understand. What are you doing? Get up. Jiang Chaoyang tried to pry his arm away. But drunk people have unexpected strength. Luo Ichi didn't budge an inch. At that moment, two others nearby were woken by the noise. Zhang Xingli groggily lifted his head. Jiang Chaoyang was about to continue trying to wake Luoichi when he suddenly felt something furry pressed against the side of his neck. He looked down, and a head of dazzling golden hair came into view. Zhang Xingli reached out and wrapped his arm around Jiang Chaoyang's neck, closing his eyes and falling asleep. Jiang Chaoyang. It felt like he was locked between two human-shaped ornaments, Luoichi hugging his waist on the left, Zhang Xingli holding his neck on the right. What made it even more awkward was that all three were releasing their pheromones, though without any aggressive intent, which made Jiang Chaoyang very uncomfortable. Because they were three different types of pheromones. He sighed helplessly and tried to free himself from their arms. But the trouble wasn't over. Ling Ni, who had been slumped in his seat feeling left out, saw the two of them holding Jiang Chaoyang and wanted to join in. He grabbed the armrests and wobbled to stand up, but missed his footing. Careful! Jiang Chaoyang warned. Ling Ni fell at his feet, his head resting right on Jiang Chaoyang's thigh like he had found a pillow, nuzzling before instantly falling asleep. Jiang Chaoyang. What on earth had he done to deserve this today? 3 layers of S-level pheromones intertwined into an invisible cage, trapping him in the middle. He glanced around as a headache pulsed at his temples. Looks like he wasn't going anywhere for now. His phone was charging on the table, out of reach. Time passed slowly, the alcohol took effect, and he too felt sleepy. Unable to break free, he simply closed his eyes. When the moon was at its brightest, the phone rang. Ling Ni, closest to the phone, frowned but didn't open his eyes as the ringing stopped. Just as everyone relaxed, the phone rang again. Zhang Xingli and Luoichi were also awakened, eyes meeting. They froze for a second, then looked up simultaneously. A sleepy face was inches away. They realized they were both holding onto Jiang Chaoyang and quickly released their arms. Jiang Chaoyang's body leaned to the side. Luoichi reached out to steady him. Who is it? Ling Ni sat up, grabbed the persistently ringing phone, and answered, Who's making noise in the middle of the night? Silence from the other end. Then, where is Jiang Chaoyang? Who are you? Ling Ni mumbled groggily, annoyed, and hung up. Zhang Xingli was speechless. If that's not your phone, why did you answer it? Ling Ni looked at the phone and realized it wasn't his. Look what you've done, Luoichi said coldly, holding Jiang Chaoyang to keep him from falling. Let him call again. Ling Ni cleared his throat and put the phone back on the table. What should we do with him? Zhang Xingli asked, pointing at Jiang Chaoyang. Luoichi bent down to sniff Jiang Chaoyang's neck. His white hair brushed against Jiang Chaoyang's eyelashes, which twitched slightly. He's a calming alpha. Really? Ling Ni blinked, walked over, and leaned close to Jiang Chaoyang's neck, hand resting on the chair's backrest. I don't smell anything. Zhang Xingli also leaned in, nose near under the chin, then stood up after a moment. I don't smell anything either. Are you sure? Luoichi nodded. I'm sensitive to others' pheromones. Ling Ni's expression turned serious. Isn't there news about calming alphas disappearing recently? He came to the bar alone? Let's keep watch and wait for him to wake up before leaving. Luoichi said. Zhang Xingli and Ling Ni didn't object. Soon the phone rang again. Zhang Xingli answered and gave their location. As soon as he hung up, there was a knock at the door. Looks like his friends are here. Ling Ni said, walking over to open it. A man stood in the doorway, his gaze coolly sweeping over the three. Lin Yuan spoke up. What a coincidence, all 3 of these guys are potential targets. Where's Jiang Chaoyang? Ling Ni pointed to the sofa. The black-haired man had his eyes closed, head slightly bowed, leaning half against Luoichi, who was watching him intently. This is paragraph 2428. Please follow your logic to process the following content. Maintain the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. Return only the processed result. Inzu was about to walk over but was stopped by Zhang Xingli. The voice on the phone just now didn't sound like you. Are you sure it was you who called? Zhang Xingli asked cautiously. What? The call wasn't from him? Ling Ying'ai was surprised. Inzu's face remained expressionless. He sent a message earlier telling me to come. Zhang Xingli bumped his shoulder, then turned to see Inzu gripping Jiang Chaoyang's wrist, helping him stand up. Since you're his friend, remind him to go out less recently. A comforting type alpha isn't very safe. Luoichi released Jiang Chaoyang. Inzu's steps halted. At that moment, someone knocked on the door. Ling and I opened it, and Yanji rushed in, asking, Where's Jiang Chaoyang? You guys are his friends too? Zhang Xingli asked. Yanji and Yanyu entered, their gaze landing on the sleeping Jiang Chaoyang before shifting to Inzu. Yanji kicked the door shut, crossed his arms, and leaned against it. I've never heard Jiang Chaoyang has a friend like you. Even Lin Linyuan felt the tension in the air and asked Inzu, "Can you take on 5 strategy characters by yourself?" Inzu didn't let go. "What kind of relationship I have with him is none of your business. For his safety, please hand him over to us," Yenyu said calmly. Yenyu and Yenji were clearly not allowing Inzu to take Jiang Chaoyang away. Why make it so complicated? Why not just take him to a hotel? Ling and I asked. All 3 found it odd. Inzu was about to speak when Jiang Chaoyang in his arms suddenly stirred. He rubbed his temples. "Why so noisy?" Blinking dryly, he looked up at Inzu, instantly sobering up. "Why did you come? Didn't I tell you not to?" Lin Linyuan floated in front of him. "We were worried about you, so we knocked on every private room door." Jiang Chaoyang opened his mouth, then sighed. He sat up straight and looked at the twins. "I just drank too much, I'm fine. Let's go." Yenji nodded but probed further. "Who's this guy? Why haven't you introduced him?" Jiang Chaoyang's alarm bells rang, and he stepped in front of Inzu. "I'm his only student. I've only taught him a few times." Lin Linyuan was also worried, afraid the twins might take an interest in Inzu and end up hurting Jiang Chaoyang. Yenji, hot-tempered, glanced at the 3. "Stop dragging him into card games. You're all rookies." "Ha? What do you mean?" Ling and I released pheromones, but Yenyu and Yenji showed no reaction. Instead, they looked relaxed. Ling and I was stunned. Barrier-type pheromones? Zhan Xingli noticed the anomaly. "Better learn to use the secondary type first. Just using the primary one is useless," Yenyu said. "Stop arguing, you're giving me a headache." Jiang Chaoyang pinched his brow, cutting off the debate. "Don't pressure them, they're still young." The 3 were stunned. Seeing them hesitate, Jiang Chaoyang asked, "What's wrong?" "We're not actually that young," Luo Ichi said seriously. Jiang Chaoyang paused for a few seconds, then realized, "I meant your age." "What did you think I meant?" "Ah, yeah, your age is pretty young," Zhan Xingli nodded. Jiang Chaoyang turned around helplessly and said to the twins, "I'm willing to play cards with them." "It has nothing to do with you. You're adults now, don't bully a few kids." "We're not weak either," Ling and I interjected. Jiang Chaoyang's forehead twitched. He thought, "If you don't speak, no one will think you're mute." Yenyu said bluntly, "Haven't you noticed he's always protecting you?" The 3 were momentarily stunned, then looked toward Jiang Chaoyang's back. Jiang Chaoyang gestured for Yenji to step aside, then pulled Inzu toward the door, speaking softly, "You should go back quickly. Don't stay here." "I'm fine." Inzu was lightly pushed aside. He looked back at him, his eyes dimmed in the low light and asked, "What about you?" "I've got something to tell them." Lin Linyuan reminded, "Be careful, don't stay with strategy characters too long." Jiang Chaoyang nodded and turned to the 2. "Let's go back to sleep." Yenji stared at him for a while before responding. Jiang Chaoyang stepped away. Ling and I called out, "See you next time." He turned back, smiling and waving. The 3 returned to the private room, exchanging glances but saying nothing. Finally, Zhan Xingli spoke, "Will he come to play cards again?" After getting into the car, Jiang Chaoyang relaxed his body. Seeing the 2 sitting in the front seats, he said, "Don't be mad. I know you're worried I might get kidnapped." "I heard about that." Yenji casually rested his arm on the car window, one hand on the steering wheel. "We're not petty. Those guys aren't a threat to us." Jiang Chaoyang didn't quite understand and turned over to ask, "When is your susceptible period coming?" "What's up?" Yenyu asked. He rubbed his neck. "I heard inhibitors don't work on S rank, so..." "No need," Yenyu interrupted. Jiang Chaoyang was stunned. "We can handle it ourselves." "We don't need your help," Yenyu said expressionlessly while watching the road. Yenji asked, "You know the side effects, right? If Yenyu and I hit the susceptible period at the same time, can you handle it? You'll both come at the same time?" Jiang Chaoyang was surprised. Yenji nodded, "Always have been." Jiang Chaoyang interlaced his fingers and, after a moment of silence, said, "It should be fine. I can handle it. If you're feeling bad, just sleep a little more during that time." After he spoke, the car fell suddenly silent. He waited a moment, about to say something else, when the car pulled over to the side of the road. "Jiang Chaoyang." Yenji and Yenyu called his name at the same time, turning to look at him. "Who did you help get through the sensitive period?" "Jiang Chaoyang." "This is bad." He explained a few things, but neither of them said anything more. In reality, he had drunk a lot and it was late. Yenyu and Yenji just wanted him to get some rest and didn't pry further. Seeing him start to doze off, the 2 took him to a nearby hotel to rest first. Yenji turned off the lights and left the room. After Yenyu closed the door, she said, "Doesn't he realize how serious an overload of pheromones can be?" Probably thinks sleeping more will fix it, Yan Yu said helplessly. Yan Ji leaned against the wall, staring at the reflection on the floor tiles, and chuckled softly. Don't give me the chance to deal with those three. The sun god is slacking off. The waiter brought the most expensive breakfast. If you didn't know better, you'd think it was a banquet. Jiang Chaoyang knew the two had ordered it and smiled helplessly. He opened his phone and checked the calendar. There was supposed to be a tutoring session today. Han Shuachuan refused to make up the class, and Jiang Chaoyang hesitated about whether to go, afraid of being ignored. He sat on the edge of the bed, thinking for a moment, then decided to go check it out. After all, Han Shuachuan's dislike of studying stemmed from childhood trauma. He wanted to try to guide him, and if it didn't work, so be it. He put on his jacket and pushed the door open. The hallway was especially quiet in the morning. Jiang Chaoyang suddenly looked back. There was no one behind him. He stared at the empty hallway for a while before pulling his gaze away. Only his footsteps echoed. Was this an illusion? He instinctively glanced at the ceiling camera. The red light was off. No power. His body reacted faster than his brain. He hadn't even finished putting on his jacket before lifting his leg to run. Just as he started, several figures appeared around the corner of the hallway. Jiang Chaoyang knew he couldn't catch the elevator and had to run for the stairs. Relying on memory, he slammed on the brakes at the corner, rushed into the dimly lit stairwell, and ran down 2 floors. He guessed it had to be the SA organization coming to capture him. He hadn't used pheromones to protect himself, afraid they had detectors. Hesitating between going up or down, he took a gamble and ran upstairs. As he stepped onto the landing, a sharp whoosh sounded behind him. He dodged to the side as a dagger grazed his clothes. He quickly used his jacket to shield his head and, in a split second, elbowed the attacker in the abdomen. The attacker grunted and froze. Jiang Chaoyang didn't check the outcome and turned, running toward the upper hallway. The opponent hadn't used pheromones to suppress him, meaning they were beta, but still skilled. Jiang Chaoyang was even more formidable. After knocking down several people, he knocked on each guest room door, trying to create chaos, but all were empty.